of Murder of the Gray State discussion. Tonight we are joined by Sophia, and we're going
Hello, everybody.
And we're going to be discussing all sorts of things, mostly concerning the timeline, but we have a couple points I do want to bring up very quickly, so we can kind of shut those things down, since those are very, very valid questions that do get brought up frequently, i.e. the footprints that were left at the crime scene. Just keep in mind, they were only right footprints, no left footprints by what some people keep bringing up about being a left footprint. It's bullshit. So just keep that in mind. We know the truth here, right? And then the other thing we're going to be talking about is, what's it called? The pack theory narrative, which was, I believe, wasn't that initially brought up by, was it Mason Hendricks? Or was it Tom Lydon? I don't remember. Somebody brought it up.
I think it was brought up by the GES guys or the Gray State guys. And
right.
Then,
but I do want to go on.
Everybody else ran with it.
Perfect. So I was on the right track at least. So we're going to go and definitely be discussing those two things before we get into the timeline, and we're going to just those are pretty easy to shut down. I mean, it shouldn't take us too long, so I figure probably about a good 10-15 minutes at most. We can shut that down, and then we can get to the timeline, just some of the juicy things that concern the search history, as gruesome as that is, and kind of go over that between that and the journal entries and kind of why these things are important. And then if there's anything else, of course, if viewers have questions, make sure to go and throw them up in the chat, and I will address them as soon as I get them. Unless we're having discussion like somebody's talking, all right? So first things first, it was brought up recently. Someone had stated that the footprints there, that basically those had to be David's, right? I don't think they were. Okay.
Well, I mean, the DNA report says that it was Kamel's blood.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing pointing to David.
Exactly.
Even in the autopsy, the ME states that his feet were clean, that his toenails were clean. If he had stepped in that much blood, it would have been in his toenails, the cuticle area. The ME would have seen it.
Gotcha. See, that's the thing.
He noted it on the left hand.
Yeah.
That there was substance like blood.
Right.
And or blood-like substance. So, I mean, she would have noted that on his feet too, and she didn't.
Fair enough. I know we were discussing earlier about the blood on David's clothes and all this. I just want to actually reiterate, or kind of go back when I said, actually, because I was looking at it. It actually would have been his left side that the blood was going down. So there would have been no way for that to be on the right side. It would have only been on the left foot at most. But once again, no blood. So, and even then, these are right footprints in blood, but where's all the blood, right? And then, of course, we also, like you brought up some very, very valid points about, there's no blood on his foot. So how could that have been possible? Because, as you stated, it would have been everywhere. I mean, anybody wants to do that kind of experiment, you can use kids' paint to even test this if you really want. It'll give you the same, it's not the exact same consistency, but it'll get everywhere just like blood would. I know there's other people that have tested, I've heard of it at least, that have tested with actual blood. I've also heard of people, was Kamel's blood on the clothing? Yeah, the clothing wasn't tested. Good point. So when it comes down to it, I mean, honestly, you can test if you guys really want to see yourself. Seriously, just go get some paint on your foot. Go and step. Be careful because your foot's going to be very slick. You're going to slip all over the place most likely, so be very careful of doing that. But you can see it right there. And once again, there wasn't any slippage, which means it's a little weird. Why wasn't there any slip marks, right? There would have definitely been some. So
yeah, because I actually had videoed myself or recorded myself doing that experiment, and my main goal in that was to see where blood would have gone in the foot and how hard it would have been to wash off, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it with paint. It was finger paint.
Right.
just to see how it went. And I can tell you that I had paint underneath my toenails for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I finally had to get nail clippers with a little hook on there
Right.
to get it out. And
Yeah.
this was just finger paint. So I can only imagine blood, because sometimes when it dries, it's hard to get off
Right.
without scrubbing.
Exactly. So, I mean, the thing
So-
is there's definitely some, like I said, we can basically already shoot. I would actually at this point just say, no, it's impossible. David would literally have had to shower.
Mhm.
You brought up a very good point, too. I want to bring this up. I don't know if you can see the chat, but wouldn't there be Camilla Renia's blood on David? Yes, it would be. The thing is, and we're going to get into the pack theory here very soon, which will kind of, we're going to be able to further shoot this crap down. So, I've made it very clear. My theory on this is that David was tortured. That is what I believe. I believe he was beaten. Once again, we can see there's a lot of blood that goes down the one side. Could that be torture? Could there be something else? Yeah, absolutely. But that's my belief. That's kind of my opinion on kind of what I'm thinking happened. Once again, I'm not accusing anybody or anything, but it's just one of those things. Like I said, it looks like that to me. I've been trying to go and compare to other victims of torture, and this kind of thing happens where you'll get blood that goes down like one side. It's consistent. So, just food for thought. But as for, if there would have been Camilla or Renia's blood on David, that would have gotten on the foot most likely, especially if you look at how much blood was on the clothes. It being on his hands too. I mean, once again, you look at his hands. I mean, well, a hand, I should say, is one hand, not multiple. So, I definitely think that, like I said, I don't think he wrote on the wall, and that's the other thing I do want to bring up too, since I'm right there anyways. For those that want to go and compare the writing on the wall, the smears, to handwriting, don't, because they don't apply. They're two different things. It's smearing versus handwriting. They're two different things. Smearing is less precise. You can be precise with it, but it's not going to be the same as handwriting. It's just not. You'd have to go and take the time to duplicate it, and let's be honest, somebody doing that kind of thing with blood and all this, there's no way you're going to be able to replicate it. At least accurately.
And something.
Mm-hmm.
And if David was doing this, like with his hands,
Right.
there's nothing saying that he cut Camilla's hands off. There's no proof of that in the autopsy report.
Right.
But if he was doing this with his hands on that wall, he surely would have left skin cells, and his DNA would have been picked up in those DNA samples. Yet it's only Camilla's blood.
Oh, welcome, Greg. How's it going, man?
Hey, peeps. How are you?
Pretty good. So, you got the message about this. It's kind of an AMA thing, too. But we're going to be, right now, we're going to shoot down a few different theories. Namely, the foot, as we've just basically finished that, discussing the foot theory made by another person recently, and they were trying to compare the left foot, the one that we got to see, the one that's compared to the floorboards, we can see that, and then trying to compare that to the right footprint, which we're seeing there. Yeah, that was a massive fail. So, and we just kind of discussed, there's no slipping, things like that. Also, based on, we were just talking about the smearing because of the hands and the blood and all that. So, just to kind of get you caught up. Do you have anything else you want to say about the smearing on the wall, Sophia?
Just that David would have left his skin cells in it,
Right.
and the DNA test did not bring that up. Oh, and hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Finally got a chance to do some laundry and figured I'd call in and see what's going on.
Hell yeah. Not a whole lot. We're just going to be discussing, a few different theories. The next one we're going to be discussing is pack theory. So hopefully brought, on how we can shoot. This is going to get shot down really quick, everybody. So if you guys aren't familiar with the pack theory, it's basically saying that David and Camille thought, or they're like, yeah, we're gonna go and commit suicide and take our daughter with us for whatever reason. So there's many reasons. I'm sure that they would have had that pack theory, right? But we're gonna discuss that, and we're gonna kind of go over the timeline that I just posted. So we got the search history and the journal entries in there as well. and just kind of go over that, because I thought that was really interesting about the search history, or not the search history, but the journal entries, and that also kind of shooting some of the dates out of what we had thought, or at least what was in the original timeline. It actually changed a few of the dates in there, which is also really interesting. Whew. So, but back on the smearing, I just want to just basically make it known that, the smears and the handwriting would be completely different. So for that person to think, oh, well, the same smears, same handwriting, no, it's incorrect. Okay, just to that person, don't quit your day job, right? Do you have anything you'd like to add to that, Craig?
I feel like I'm out of the loop on this one.
Okay. So it was recently posted. I'm not mentioning names or anything, this kind of thing, as I was mentioning names last night. Left and right is pretty great. About a certain person who's been going above and beyond and trying to go and shoot every single theory down and attacking people left and right and all this. So, and I found it really bizarre. Why is this happening? But I'm not going to get into that person because, well, they're irrelevant to this case, as far as I'm concerned. They've brought really nothing there. There's a few theories that I have touched on that I don't fully agree with. Like the pack theory, I don't agree with that at all. That's a bullshit lie. But when it comes to the foot and showing that, I mean, we've been able to kind of track it down. That was nothing but right footprints. Well, right. David's feet were clean. Sorry. Unless he showered and then decided to come back out. No, let's go do some finger painting on the wall with my wife's blood. I mean, come on. Who the hell believes that? Seriously. But I also want to bring something else recently was brought up. I don't know if you guys have seen this or heard about this, but you know what? I think I need to bring it up. Let me go and grab this. It's going to be on a separate screenshot. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it. It was something that was brought up on Facebook from a certain other person. She who will not be named. Brought it up about her family history. I don't know if you guys saw that recently. Oh yeah. Claimed her family, she had family that were Freemasons. Yeah.
Are you putting things up for us to see?
I'm going to bring it up here in a second. I'm just going to go get the screenshot and bring it up because I don't want to have to show off that person's page because, or their group is, they're not getting an...
Toxic?
Yeah, it's toxic as hell. I'd rather not have that up. So, I'm trying to go and find that right now. But yeah, it's, I thought it was really, really interesting that this person was just outright, yeah, I have, my family's got ties to the Freemasons. Why the hell would you say that when there's something there? I think, we're seeing some Freemason connection, whether it is tied to the crime or not. You're seeing Freemason connection to people in this case. Why would you do this?
Because she doesn't see them as like we do.
Oh yeah, she doesn't see them as bad people, but they are bad.
Well, they're just low levels. The low levels, yes, they're not like what we were. That I had nothing to do with the PowerPoint. That was solely the other admins who did an amazing job on it.
Yeah. It's put together well.
Yes, extremely well. It was very compelling.
Yeah.
And, all that information is right there on the internet, from verified sources.
Yep.
And, lower levels don't understand some of the stuff that was going on. But once you hit that 33-degree mark and above, that's a whole different story.
Right.
But, if you just want to bang on about what you think you know, then go right ahead.
Hang on.
I'm not talking about you.
No, I know. I'm trying to see. Well, so so we know that this other person who was initially talking about it, they were talking crap about your guys' video, Greg and all that. So, I just want to make, I don't know if you've heard about it yet, but yeah, they were talking crap about your video, basically like trying to call it out. And then they decided to go out and go on a limb and say, yeah, well, I got family that's Freemasons.
Didn't like the video?
Oh, no.
What was their beef with the video?
Well, I only had a slight beef with it. I just felt like it was calling people out, but I think you brought it out very, very brilliantly in the comments from what I saw. We're not trying to call people out. I believe it was I don't remember the exact terminology used. They brought it up in this other group, and I was like, well, okay, I understand to some kind of degree, but it did kind of feel that way. But other than that, they had the beef with they went after the Latin. I'm like, straight up went after the Latin. I'm like, why? And then they even posted incorrect information about it, saying, no, this is how it's pronounced. And the pronunciation they brought forth was absolutely incorrect. I'm not even kidding. They used a YouTube video that literally said, Ordo, A flat, ciao. And I was like, no. A flat? What the hell?
A flat.
Yeah.
It's not like a musical reference?
Exactly. And that's how the bot did the pronunciation with. They saw the B as like it was an A flat, because you get the A and then you get the little B there. I think they tried to go and make that out to the musical note, which I'm like, no, incorrect. So, but yeah,
Was there something about the content that?
They're just attacking it because this person's attacking it because they had family that are Freemasons, and the real Freemasons are all about brotherhood and love, while the other ones were frauds, which is the real Scottish Rite Freemasons. I'm like, oh, or no, sorry, the North Rite were frauds, and the South Rite were brotherhood. Oh, brother. Huh. Okay.
But if I can interrupt just for a second,
sure.
We have proof that these other people work with disinformation. This
right.
is what they do.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, this one right here, such and such was tampering with stuff and found something about the Gun Plus store. We really don't know what it means. If anything, we haven't got anything with the Celebrate. We're just sending the Justice Group into a spin, LOL. The next one, it depends as to what you want to disclose. Then you come up with multiple scenarios. Most involve having to tell little white lies or sending them on wild goose chases or coming up with backstory to send them off the scent. So they are purposely putting out disinformation.
Yeah.
And lying about the case.
Well, yeah, and plus you also see that there's... Well, and the thing is, too, is like we got to see even more proof with this Tony person, which, I'm not going to go and accuse who I think it is yet, but I've got a good feeling. But it's somebody, like I said, we know that there definitely is somebody else that was in that group at one point, and then we know that, that was another cover for somebody else who was also in that group, I believe still. So I'm still trying to figure out directly who it is, but I've got a good feeling I know who it is, so...
I'm pretty sure that it is Santa Claus, and
right.
You are not getting anything for Christmas this year.
The thing is, I went in on a good note, and I actually wished for coal. I told him I've been a good boy. I would like coal. Give me all that coal. In fact, I even asked him to send the Krampus to deliver it to me. So see, I'm winning. So you never.
Santa was a Freemason too. So.
Hey, so maybe I will get the Krampus. Yeah, he'll summon the Krampus right to me and be like, hey, well, you wished for it. You've been bad though. So yeah. Have I though? But no, we've been discussing a lot lately on this, and when it comes to Freemasons, that's been brought up numerous episodes. And then on top of that, the other thing that's been brought up is also the dog. And I know that Mary is definitely... I've brought this up even last night, too. So, and she does bring up a good point. It doesn't really matter how if somebody mispronounces the same thing. It doesn't really matter. It's still there.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Yeah.
They pick at every little thing because they have nothing else to do.
Exactly. But the thing is, though, is we brought this up. And I know you and I talked about it briefly, about when dogs change their diet suddenly, there is diarrhea. Anybody that's had dogs, owned dogs, done a study on dogs, for crying out loud, will see that happens. And if if that dog was going from dry food to a raw meat diet, unless he was already on that, he's going to be that's going to be coming out quite liquidy.
You know, a lot of things, or a lot of new people who come to the case, they don't realize that there was dog food there.
Yeah, exactly.
That dog, if he was starving, would he go towards rotting bodies? Would he starve? Or would he go to 2 bags of dog food
Right.
that he was used to sitting right there on the floor?
Exactly.
What are his options?
Well, the one thing I do want to go and bring up, though, is I didn't see, and I feel this is necessary to bring up, too. Okay, we do know there was 2 bags there. One was open, one was not. And the thing is, the one that was not opened, it was just kind of, it looked like it was kind of rolled. Could have been clipped as well, but I didn't see any dog bowls. And I was looking around for those, and that's the thing, is why aren't there any dog bowls there? Now, I think that was done intentionally. If I had to say anything about it, that does seem very, very intentional. Once again, this is a dog that, once again, we know that David wasn't going to shoot at anyways. I mean, if he was going to go out with, doing all this, he would have killed Paleo too, let's be honest. And it wouldn't have been something he tried to do. The guy was proficient as hell with firearms. He taught classes and all this. I mean, for crying out loud, he was a badass. Let's put it out that way, let's just call it as it is. This guy, he could handle a weapon. He would have killed the dog. If he really was trying to, he would have killed Paleo. There's nothing that would have stopped him.
Yeah, there's two weird things there. I mean, obviously, that's the first one is like, okay, why would you shoot once at the dog and then just basically give up? I don't really buy that, but I think what really sealed it for me was when we finally got the answer that the police did not do any dog feces tests.
Right.
I think that really sealed it for me. It's like, wait a minute, why would you even accuse this dog of doing all of that without doing any of those tests? That just seemed kind of weird. Like, that would have saved people a lot of time. It's just, you're kind of you're leaving that door open. Maybe they want to leave it open. I don't know. I'm glad they answered the question, because it's not in any of the documents or anything like that, right? The only reason we got the answer is because we asked that question. And it's like, it was just kind of, that was pretty much it for me. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you accuse this dog? You accuse David of doing all this stuff too. So I don't know. I mean, there's something just really odd with this case.
Oh yeah, and
there's several points. If you go back to the police reports, the search warrants did cover the feces that were at the crime scene. So they could have collected it, and they could have tested it. So that was...
So there is feces mentioned somewhere?
Yes, it's in the search warrant.
I missed that.
For the very first day.
Well, but the thing is, I mean, they never tested it, though, right?
Mm-mm. Then when something Booth, not Tommy Booth, but the other Booth, CSO, when he dropped Paleo off at the vet was only to feed and water the dog, nothing else.
Right.
And then they never ordered the test.
Which is already, that's odd as hell anyways.
And then they didn't take any of the feces into evidence. So, I mean...
Just to kind of give everybody kind of an insight, I am still looking for this exact comment so I can bring it up. It was in here, so I'm looking for that still. So, hopefully I'll be able to find that soon. Because I'm getting really tired of looking at this page already. Oh, jeez. Oh,
it's just weird, because, I don't know, I don't know. That whole dog thing, the whole dog in this whole thing is just seems like something just throw us all off. But it would have to be somebody that knew about dogs too, that kind of knew, that hey, if you take the dog's food, you make sure they don't have any water, they only have one choice.
Right.
Now it's kind of weird, because you would kind of think that a dog like that would start barking. The dog was barking at that point. The dog was barking When the police showed up, obviously, the dog was barking when Colin looked through the window.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Was the dog barking when David's brother came by? I know the dog poked its head out, but if that was on December 28th, and they're telling us everybody was dead by then, why would the dog just poke its head out? Wouldn't it make some type of noise or something, ask for help or something like that? Especially since it knew David's brother. It wasn't like this was some stranger. Maybe that's why it didn't bark.
Right.
But it's just kind of weird. That whole thing with the dog is weird, and it's weird. It's interesting to see the way that people react to it. And you have dog lovers. They react a certain way. They're like, no, there's no way this dog would do this. You have people that want to believe David Crowley guilty. They act a certain way, where they start searching and digging, just trying to plant things to for people to just kind of think, well, maybe. And that's it. That's all that you can really do.
Right.
Say, well, maybe it was this, but it's meant for people who want to think that David is guilty. But for these dog lovers that want to think that David is guilty, I'm sure it's probably a difficult thing for them, because it really is going to pull at them and say, well, wait a minute, are you really sure here? And people need to be careful. When you accuse anybody of anything, remember that could happen to you too.
Yep.
You need to put yourself in that person's spot. Would you want to be accused of something like what happened with David, or what happened with this dog? Would you want to be accused of? Would you want your dog accused of something like that? So it's a serious thing when people just say that David Crowley is guilty. It's not something to be taken lightly, and it does raise questions about those people.
Yeah, it does. And the thing is, I mean, when it comes down to it, they want to keep throwing. That's why they keep throwing crap at everybody else over in, our group. They want to go and they're trying to discredit people, based on all sorts of different things, and that's not all right. That's not, they keep making all these really messed up videos, and they're trying to target people individually, and that's the thing. It's really disgusting they're doing that. It really is.
But it is freedom. I mean,
it is.
We live in the greatest country ever. So
we do.
Freedom of speech and whatever people want to do, but they have to realize people are going to see through that. It's only going to put a target on them.
It does, exactly.
It only highlights them and all of their drama and all of their BS.
Yeah.
So
it's like, what do they bring to the table? They bring nothing.
I'm thinking that comment might have been they might have deleted it. I saw it there last night.
Going.
Screenshot to your friend, Mike.
Yeah, no, I'm really thinking that's what happened. I'll have to go through and look again, but yeah, I'm already getting tired of looking at the page.
Maybe they thought better of it. Maybe they realized it was something dumb to say.
Oh, well, I mean, when you're, making certain, statements like that, yeah, it would be very stupid to say, especially when, me personally, I do believe the Freemason connection is there. That is personally what I believe. I do think there's something there, especially as we got the fraternal order of police officers. That's, we see that there's a few police officers that are a part of that. Maybe different members.
Not every. I mean, do you think every Freemason is?
No. I don't think every Freemason is evil by any means. I think there's people that, once again, they don't realize what they're into. And I mean, Sophia described it perfectly. It's when you start getting to the higher up. That's when they start really opening your eyes and things like this. Then there's the people that go in knowing that these people are like that. Those are some evil people right there.
Yeah.
Look at and like I said, I mean, when it comes down to it, let's be honest. I mean, I'm not accusing Danny August Mason of anything here when I say this, but the guy went in with a script that literally shows the Freemasons as some evil SOBs, right? The guy has clearly done research on it. He's, he hasn't come out and actually talked about it that we know of, at least. But we know that they've talked about all sorts of different things. You look at everything that was shown in their trailer, and then there's no way they couldn't have looked up Freemasons. They had a friggin' Freemason apron on one of the guys in the damn trailer. And if you were to turn around and say, well, I don't know anything about that. Oh, brother. Bullshit. But it's one of those things, like, there's no way he doesn't. And then yet, he goes and he becomes a part of it. One of his friends at that, when he's even writing this script, is a member of the Freemasons. He's a high up member of the Freemason. It's just like, this makes me think, okay, well, why would you join these people if you feel they're so evil unless you're evil yourself? Right? I mean, it doesn't make any...
I think there's two options that I'm kind of focused on. Is one, either he was being fake that whole time, and
Mm-hmm.
knew exactly what he was doing by adding that into their 2012 trailer.
Right.
Or at some point, maybe 3 points. Maybe option number two, he thought that he realized, from his view, that they were not that bad. That they were just some type of group, just a bunch of people, just another boys' club. Or option three is he felt like he was in trouble. He needed protection, and that's where he went. So those are kind of the three options that I kind of, um, always go back to, I guess.
I mean, those
that
are
I'm
fair options.
just looking into, because I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what his thought process is. We know kind of that obviously he should have known about this stuff. Obviously, there's no way that he didn't know about it.
Right.
So for him to try to say, "Oh, I didn't know who they were," obviously is not true.
Yeah.
He either did know, or he changed his mind about who that group was, or he realized that they might be able to help him because he could be in some type of danger too.
Right.
The people who killed David could be after him too. Maybe he felt like that was his only way to get out of that spot. I'm just speculating here.
Mr. Mason, if you are in trouble, feel free to contact us. We would love to help you out. Contact the authorities while you're at it too, but contact us. We'd like to hear your side of things. We would love to have that debate, actually, so be ready to go with that.
I sent you a couple screenshots.
The person I was talking about, I mean, I wasn't talking necessarily about that person. I was talking about, as I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. I see her. I wasn't looking for that person. It was actually Prochnow herself, who had stated...
Yeah, I sent you that one too.
Oh, really? No kidding. I did not see that one. Okay.
One sec. I have it also. I just...
Was it in that one? That really long one?
It might be. If not, then I have another... I just have to find it. Give me a sec.
I'm reading through it right now, people, so just give me a second. And as for, yes, there is a higher order to the Freemasons, and when you get into the Freemasons, there's more to that, too. It goes far, far beyond that. That's when you start getting into, like, the Council of 300, and you get the Bilderbergs, and you get all sorts of other people there up in that area as well.
I had spoken with one. His name was Tony, actually. And we talked, and he was he had basically left. Right, because from his view, all they were doing, they just wanted money from you, and when times got hard for him, the Freemason family that he thought was going to be there, that because his dad was one too, et cetera, they weren't there for him. So from his view, that chapter, right? Because you have to think of it too. It's like they're not all the same. They have all different chapters, et cetera, et cetera. So they just, where he was, they were not the brothers that he thought that they were. So it just seems like every person I talk to who has family, or who was, or who is currently, because I do know people that are,
right,
and they just have no clue. That's all.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. It's either they have no clue, which I mean at this point, going in now, like thinking about it now, it's like how could somebody not know? It's out, literally, pretty much lambasted. It's like it's out there, right? All right, so I'm gonna bring this photo up, and I do appreciate that.
There's still a lot of people that are I don't want to get all into politics and stuff, but there's still a lot of people that don't realize a lot of things about the way this country is, the way this country is ran, and they could be very sheltered people too that have just always grown up like that. And these Masons are, just they do their own thing here. They can contribute, they help out, etc., etc. So it just kind of leaves it at that. And so, of course, for those people, when you throw out something like they're all sacrificing babies or doing all this crazy stuff, like that's why, I think a lot of that stuff gets thrown out there. It is a clear false flag, because then you can just make them. You can think that anybody that thinks that all of these Masons are doing all of these human sacrifices and rituals are all crazy and stuff. But it's like you really have to break it down, and it's tough because every chapter is different. Every person is different.
Right.
So
I mean, I've got one of my coworkers actually. We got into a pretty heated discussion about the Freemasons. I mean, he's all for support on the Freemasons. He's like, oh, these are real American patriots. This is what the United States are. All of our forefathers were Freemasons. And I'm sitting here like, I know this, but it doesn't mean they were good. It doesn't necessarily mean they were bad. Once again, talk about George Washington. I don't remember how high up in the Freemasons he was, but I could have sworn he was the 33rd, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we're seeing a lot of our forefathers we had. They were high up in the Freemasons. They would have known about this stuff. And the thing is, I mean, for me personally, this is when I thought about their idea on freedom of religion. I feel that's why. Because when you look at what they believe, that is what their group does. You're not going into, like a group, like a brotherhood, like a typical fraternity, right? You're not going into Alpha, Beta, Kappa, or whatever, whatever the, I don't know what this is. I've never been a part of a fraternity at all. Never cool enough, apparently, but that's all good. Too cool for school. But it's, you got to see that these types of groups like that, they're more like how the Skull and Bones are. They're more almost culty, almost religious.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They want to take God out of it.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that you should not do, you cannot do. That's why I've always been against all of that stuff. It's like, why would you want to join anything why would you want to do anything like that? All they do is pretty much tell you that you are God or trying to replace God.
Well, yeah, and it all goes back down to the same principles of Luciferianism, which is exactly what that promotes: is you are God, you are your own God, but Lucifer is the supreme being, and he's above all, and he just wants to bring goodness to the universe, while Yahweh is the evil one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're pretty blatant about that stuff.
Oh yeah,
and you're definitely right. At the highest levels, they are. They're always recruiting people, just like the
just like the military, practically.
No,
I mean, just when it comes to a level of recruitment, it's almost like that. It seems like
you want to recruit the best and you want to
best and the brightest,
the best and the brightest. The devil wants to corrupt them, and God wants to use them for his purpose.
Well, he doesn't want sheep, right? The devil doesn't want sheep. Just put it very bluntly. It all comes back down to there's two lines I want to go and say here, and I'm sure you guys will have something to say about this. As above, so below, and then the other one is knowledge is power. Those are two Luciferian concepts right there. They're not good concepts. Now, I get knowledge is power. I do understand that. And I actually do, for the most part, live by that. Right, but I don't use like that power for bad. I don't use it for evil deeds. I use whatever I learn it's for self-improvement and for awakening others. Right, that's all it's used for. To keep people safe as best I can. Give them the information they need. Whether it be, or even go into a simple trivia game just so I can win that trivia. Just saying, or escape rooms. Just throwing that out there too. Pretty good at those. But all jokes aside.
I was going to add, when I was in middle school and early high school, in one of the cities that we lived in, I was approached at school and asked to join the Rainbow Girls, which is the female, younger version of the Eastern Stars, basically.
What's that?
For the Masonic Lodge. It's the female side. And I joined because my parents were happy about this. My dad was a Mason at one time, but never really did anything with it.
Right.
I don't even think I remember him going to any of the meetings. So this must have been before he even married my mom. And did this for several years. I made it all the way up. I was supposed to, I can't even remember what it's called now. It was like the leader of the Rainbow Girls. I was supposed to have my installation for that. And then we moved, like right at that time.
Right.
So I just never got involved with it again. It, to me, it never felt right.
Right.
So, and it was weird because they wanted us to date the younger guys. They had a group of teenage boys that were going to be Masons when they got.
Right.
And so it was like the opposite of what we were doing, and they wanted us to date them and just kind of form relationships among that, and they wanted us to hang out with each other all the time, and so it was weird.
Yeah,
it was really weird
well,
because
very
I didn't have a
culty.
lot in common with these other girls. Of course, I was just a weird kid anyway, growing up.
Hang on one
But
second. I just want to bring this up. So Mary brought up David Paulides. I'm just trying to figure out where David Paulides comes in on this. I probably got lost in conversation, but is he a Freemason or? So I don't know a whole lot about David Paulides' background. So if I'm not mistaken, he's the missing 411 guy. So,
Oh, that's a great series, but
oh, it is. No, I've watched The Hunted, and I've watched his first series. I've gone over all of his details. I've covered his map, checked it out. There's
read the books or anything.
he's got something there. I'm telling you, he has got something really solid there. And especially, well, what's really interesting. Have you checked out the map?
I think I've only seen the first one. I have a lot of people telling me, man, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch that. I've only seen the very first one, and I'll tell you, man, that was pretty.
Well, I've got a
It
theory
was
on
like
this.
just the way that was made. When I
Right.
think about like when we get to the point where we can actually make a real documentary on the David Crowley case, I look at that first and I'm like, this is exactly how we want to
Right.
make it. It's so well done.
Oh yeah, no, he did a fantastic job. I mean, he's somebody I would love to have a look at this case. But the thing is, there were some people that brought this up. It was recently on Reddit. And I don't want to get too much off the case, but they took the missing 411 map, all the different missing cases and all this, and then he puts it over where all these the known unexplored caves are and lava tubes and things like this. They match perfectly. And there's been some guys on TikTok that have been talking about more like the supernatural types of things, which, I mean, I honestly, hearing about some of these cases, you listen to some of them, some of these people that have been found and all this, not from the missing 411 stuff, but some of these people that have gone missing in national parks that talked about something that looks or sounds or acts just like the Wendigo. And if you look at where the Wendigo lives, caves. They like cave systems. They like to go and take their meal underground. Why? Because it's like a refrigerator. Like I said, I don't want to get too much in the supernatural on this, but I mean it's really
Those
interesting.
They're freaky too. But oh my gosh, he is on this, and it leaves your mind thinking of all kinds of things that could have been going on, and how he was saying that like mainly only skulls are found in the wild.
Yep.
Because the animals won't eat them.
Right.
Where if you look at this case,
right.
Where are the skulls?
Exactly. It's opposite, which
Paleo was supposed to have eaten them.
Yeah, Paleo is the opposite of a Wendigo. So, just jokes aside on that one.
That, I mean, we just solved it right there.
Yeah, it was the anti-Wendigo. Look at that. But no, I mean, it's just really it's fascinating. But when it comes to this case, I mean, honestly, this whole thing about can you please pull it off? His son committed suicide, but during the last pet. Wait, what? Oh, holy crap! That's pretty deep stuff right there.
Can you please pull it off? I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I didn't know that. So I'm sorry to hear about that. I mean, the guy,
I
like...
follow him on YouTube, but I haven't been paying attention.
Oh, David Paulides' son commits
Yeah.
suicide less than a year ago. Who's...
That's so sad.
Jeez. That's sad. We'll move on just to get off that topic. I don't want to, I want to get more focused on this case here. So the last thing we had that we were brought up before, we're going to go and get into the timeline, which we're like 45 minutes over. So is the pack theory. So pack theory here, I think all of us probably disagree. Or, with that, there's no way that could have happened, right?
Well, I mean, even the police ruled that out. So
Fair point.
the pack theory is strictly, it was created for the documentary, and in my opinion.
No, I agree.
I'm a big Seinfeld fan, so whenever I hear that, the pact, I don't know if you guys are Seinfeld fans. But there's this big thing about this pact between Jerry and George. So it just always, it's so silly to even think, about any type of pact between David and his wife. It just always takes me back to something that silly, to this pact that was made on a TV show. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why people would think that, jump to that, and then try to put that into a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to go to those lengths, to really, have some type of a pack theory. The only thing I can think of is to kind of take the burden off of David, because it's like, well, okay, wait a minute. If David did this, how are they going to do anything with David's project? There's no way they can make money off of it or anything.
Well,
and then it's just kind of weird.
Well, so what's interesting about that is actually, technically speaking, because David never actually got Danny August Mason off the project. I believe there's a way he could still technically make the Gray State project. I believe there's a way. I believe it's why he started Gray State Universe. I believe it was LLC. I believe it's the exact reason he started that way, to kind of partially set himself apart. But I believe that was his intention, was going to be using the 2013 or 2014 script, and then give some alterations and make it that way. Which is also weird because, like I said, right after David dies, and all of a sudden you see all these different things going on. But considering the documentary, we're seeing another Freemason connection there. We actually see Herner Herzog, whatever, that guy, the producer, like the big guy behind the director of this documentary. He's a Freemason. And like I said, you see Freemason connections everywhere when it comes to this case. A ton of Freemason connections, which is the part I have why would they be pushing this pact theory so heavily, right? And we're seeing Freemason connections tied to some of these other things, and I mean, it's... I kind of, like I said, this is why I lean a little bit towards this, is it just looks more and more, especially because, like I said, what David's documentary, or not documentary, but what his film, or rather his TV series would have exposed was the Freemasons to some degree. Would have exposed this. I feel like even the 2014 script would have shown some of this off, just less occulty and more, kind of, New World Order-y. So, but yeah, no, it's really interesting because that documentary is, I mean, you can definitely see it was pushed very heavily in that, and I mean, they tried to really just make it out as much as they could. Either they're slandering David's name, really, really dragging him through the mud, or they're dragging Kamel's name through the mud. And the thing is,
what's the motive? Like, what do you really get from putting Kamel
right
into that spot? And it's like, okay, I mean, there's no proof that David did it. There's going to be even less proof that David and his wife did this.
Yep.
So, I mean, why would they, what is the motive? I mean, I look for a motive to move the project forward.
Right.
I look for a motive so that people can feel better about themselves, so that they can think, well, maybe David wasn't that bad.
Right.
I don't really have a lot of other options to really think, man, what would motivate somebody to even to go there. But the crazy thing is, where did this start? You ask some people where it started, they say it started with the cops. You ask other people, they say it started with the family. It started somewhere. Now, I don't know exactly where it started. We can only, I can only say who still thinks that it's true.
Right.
And it's like, those people are just not people that you would take seriously.
Right. Well, and so the big thing here that I see when it comes down to this pack theory, where this all kind of came from, it does seem like it came directly from the Gray State team. Okay. We got to see that firsthand through the interviews. I believe it was Mason Hendricks. I don't remember who else, if there was anybody else that really was pushing it either, but I believe Mason Hendricks was the one pushing it.
He told me that the cop, I have to go back and look at my notes to see it. He said the cops said it. He said that the cops came up with that verse, that the cops told the family, and that's where it all started from his view.
Well, so I mean, the thing is, we got to kind of go back and backtrack that a little bit. Then, okay, so if he's saying, well, the cops told the family that, okay, right? So the cops already went with bias. That's something you can't do on an investigation. That should have already.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense the cops would tell him that, because if
right.
you look at the second.
Yeah, they're not going to give up something they don't have proof of. Unless they're
the
literally
cops are saying it's a double murder-suicide.
Exactly.
This whole time. They've never changed their theory,
mm-hmm.
as far as I know. So.
Well, they're about to. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about this, Sophie, at all?
I agree with Greg. I mean, the police didn't ever mention this.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the press releases, they never mentioned that it was a murder-suicide pact thing.
Right.
They just said it was only one perpetrator. So
there are theories that came from Kay Crowley based on what she said in the police reports.
Yeah, that's the only thing she would believe.
Yeah, that would be the early indication. That's the only thing that I've ever seen that was like, where's this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only thing that's in the police reports is what Kay Crowley says.
Right.
Now, was that the initial thing that she said, or was that when they met with her?
When they met.
That was the first thing. I think that was the first thing that she had a hard time thinking that David would do this unless there was some type of. She didn't use the word pact unless there was some type of agreement or something. It's weird. So obviously that's why we would want to get the transcript from what Kate Crowley actually said, not what the police say that she said. But it is weird the way that is phrased. Now, if the police are twisting her words, that's going to be a lot different than if they're just pretty much saying what she says in her own transcript.
Right.
So far, we don't have that transcript, but I think that is a big question, and I think that's why maybe we haven't really, been able to cover it too much, anything with Kate Crowley.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of weird that all of a sudden she's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, if end of the day, still, it's like there would be proof if there was a pack theory, right? And if we go off of what was said by another person, not to bring this person up again, not to give them credit because, well, they don't need credit. But if she did shoot herself in the mouth, right? Where's the proof of this? There would be bullet trajectory. Where is this?
It came from Sean Wright. Sean Wright is the one who has been telling people out there, messaging them, and probably saying this publicly too. It all came from him.
Right.
It was saying that, David and his wife were going to take their lives, and they were going to take Rania with them.
Right.
What is this guy basing?
Well, yes, he was supposed to be best friends with him, but we got to see from the phone records. Really.
If he had knowledge that David and Kamel were planning on doing this,
why didn't you report it?
He should have told.
Then he's an accessory, isn't he?
Yep.
Well,
I believe so.
He would at least be someone who would have, if he has proof that they said that they wanted to do that or anything. I'm pretty sure that the cops would have that. or the cops should have that.
Yeah.
If he's
Well, if
withholding
he has
this,
proof of that, then he's responsible for Ronnie's death. He's an accessory
Yeah.
because he has knowledge of an impending crime.
Mm-hmm.
So, interesting.
Exactly. So, I mean, end of the day, there's a lot going
I would
wrong with
think
this.
that would be, I would think that would be more tampering with the crime.
No.
I actually think because what
He
if the
didn't let
police.
anybody know, which it hindered. Well, anyway,
Well,
it cost the life of
he
a
would-
child.
right.
He would have to have been there in order to say that they that they were going to kill themselves and kill their kid.
Exactly.
But if there was anything like that, the police spoke with him.
Well, and Mary brings
They-
up a very
they
good point
should have
anyways.
told him.
When it comes down to it, I mean, if she shot herself or he shot, I mean, still, end of the day, where's the blood? It's still going to come down to that. And once again, all we see is it mostly looks like bodily fluid that was just basically excreted from the body. That's all it looks like. I'm sure there was probably some blood there, sure. I don't think there was a whole lot. And once again, you can see what color the blood is on the floor. I believe on the carpet, there's a couple areas of blood spatter. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be very wrong. I'll have to take a look at it again. But either way, you can see that what that does to the floor, that stays that red color. If it goes in the carpet, it's still going to have a red color. Doesn't matter if it goes in the blue, goes in the brown, it's going to have that red color to it. And we don't really see any on the carpet at all. So, I mean, hell,
I also think we don't have the best photos though either.
Oh, they did a terrible job in their photos. Honestly, they really did.
Maybe that shows because that was one of the big things is it came up. Well, how often do they deal with this stuff? It seems like this is more things where they don't deal with that much. They don't need that great cameras. Things like that aren't supposed to happen in this town.
Well, what's really funny about this now? We actually just covered this last night. Mary would remember. We talked about this last night. We got to see, and I have to thank Sophia for pushing me in the direction of the Pencock case. Okay, that happened shortly after, right? It was I think it was a year after, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. And basically, we got to see same detectives on that same case. Look how effective they were on that case. And then you look at them on this case, and they're fumbling all over the place. Mm-hmm. You can look back. There was other cases like this in Apple Valley. There were homicides. There's no way they didn't have experience. And even then, they go to a lot. They're taught by people that have dealt with these types of cases. So therefore, they know what they're looking for. They know how things are going to look. And look how quickly they fumbled on every single thing on this case. To me, this looks, like I said, like I was saying last night, this looks intentionally. Like there's a lot of things that were fumbled intentionally. So when it comes down to it, I think that's.
I would only say that I think they fumbled at the very end. I think a lot of their documents, a lot of the early stuff, I think they did a lot of things right. I think that documents showed that a lot of them did what they were trained to do, that they should have done. My personal view is at some point from the top, and I think, what Tom Lydon did, and I think that really kind of gave us the evidence of that. It was just like, that's why when you hear Tom Lydon talk to the cops, they're only talking with the chief, really. Mm-hmm. That's all you really hear, but I looking at the documents that we have, I think they did a lot of things right. I think that's why it was very important to focus on the first responders who were there. They didn't walk in and say, "Oh man, this was a double murder suicide." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They didn't really do a lot of that stuff. I really believe a lot of that came later. And even if you look at some of the email back and forth, between the ABPD and the BCA and stuff like that, it's like it gets weirder at the very end to this whole thing. And so that's why having a timeline is so crucial, mm-hmm. because even just looking at what they have, what do the cops say when they're first there? What do the first responders say? Okay, right. What does the BCA say? Where does it all end?
Right.
And it just doesn't seem to match to me.
If I could add here, the other case, they literally walked in, said, yes, this is a murder-suicide.
Right.
They collected the bullets. They collected a few things from the house, took photos, and they closed the case.
Right.
There was no DNA run. There wasn't anything else done.
Do you think that had to do with what happened with the David Crowley case? That the David Crowley case may have set a precedent for any future cases or anything?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just extremely obvious in this case. I honestly don't know. But what they did on the David Crowley was they ran an investigation, but were they just looking
Or they're just
for
making it
David,
look that way.
the guilty one? I mean, they went through all the motions.
Yeah.
But they didn't look at anybody else.
Well, yeah. Plus, on top of that, let's not forget to mention some of the things they should have tested. I mean, those are big fumbles. I mean, I wouldn't say these are things that any competent detective would have ran. You're seeing a dog feasting on bodies. Dog feces are tested instantly. That is going to be tested, right? Any competent. And once again, I know it does come down to budgeting. Okay, I do know that comes down to that, and I'm assuming they don't have that great of a budget there. But when it comes down to, like, for instance, I've been trying to compare with other crime scenes and like how these cases are solved. And when you see dogs feasting, what's the first thing that's tested almost every single time? Besides, the initial things, they will test the dog feces. They weren't tested. On top of that, you see blood on his clothes, you test it. Is that his blood? Is that his child's blood? Is that, his wife's blood? Or is that somebody else's blood? Wasn't tested. There's a few things we're gonna get in.
The biggest thing there with the blood is like, well, if there's no blood that ties David to any bullets, I mean, that to me is just like, that's a huge smoking gun that they just kind of gloss over. Now, there's a lot of things, but those are things that they found out later.
Right.
At the time, the cops didn't know that. They may not even know that now. I mean, there still may be a lot of that stuff. So, I just, I think it's just more proof that it's almost like you have people that are trying to do the right thing, and then all of a sudden they just get stonewalled.
Right.
On this stuff, and that's very troublesome.
So one thing I want to make, I want to kind of just make known for everybody that there is something I do want to talk about item 53. I am not the most knowledgeable on the subject of item 53. I'm actually going to be bringing up the documents, and I'm going to kind of go along with it. I know we've talked about it a few times. I'm still not that knowledgeable on 53, so I do apologize. But I do want to talk about that because, like I said, I mean, I did bring up something recently in the group as well. Now, not everybody agrees on this, and this is kind of one of those things I agree to disagree kind of thing. But the hole in the ceiling. I'm going to be going over this most likely tomorrow during the day if I can. I'm going to try and watch a Gray Stage. I'm going to try and pull the clips. But I believe there are scenes in the house where we get to actually see that specific section in the home. And I want to
talking about 57, item 57.
The one that was out in the kitchen?
No.
Is that 57?
Item 53. Well, there's coal there. And he believes that coal is connected to item 53.
Mm-hmm.
The hole?
The one just above the kitchen counter.
Above the table.
Of where the kitchen light is?
It's well, that's the thing. It's a good distance away from it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And I've been looking. I didn't see anything from what the police are saying. I don't even believe it's mentioned. So, I might have missed it. I very well could have. But, it's just happened. But, and I know that, you and I have had a conversation about it. And I know you have your belief on it. I have mine. I do firmly believe that it was a hole that's, once again, this, from what I could see, doesn't appear like it's anywhere else except during this is the only time we get to see this is during this. So I'm curious. That's why I want to go and watch a Gray Stage, or not a Gray Stage, but Gray Stage. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. You can watch that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll promote the book some more during that. But I want to go through. I'm going to go and try and collect. It's all good, Mary. It's all good. But I do believe that if we can find proof that that wasn't there prior, and I'm going to go and see. I'm going to go and try and watch through the BCA video as well and see if we can see anything there. So I think we can, and of course it would be there. Because once again, we got to see the crime scene footage, therefore we would have seen it with this as well, most likely, unless, well, that BCA or AVPD did it, which, once again, they would have said something well, I take it back. They may not have. But I don't, this is a police department I don't have much faith in, so obviously I'm not trying to dog them too much, because I do respect and I believe firmly we need a good, strong police force. But this police force kind of sucks. They've got a lot of, like I said, I'm not a big fan of them. Their work is, Gummert is probably one of the better ones, but I think that's about it. The rest of them, I think, are just kind of, a lot of them are bumbling fools. But when it comes to this, like I said, I want to go and see if that was in previous footage of the home, as I believe there's some footage where we get to see the kitchen. I believe there's footage where we get to see from David's camera, and is angled up towards that direction, and I don't think there's a hole there. So that's got me kind of thinking.
You're talking about the one that we think is a light fixture or something.
Yes,
like that,
yes.
Right? When you have to compare the hole to item 57. If you're looking for a hole, it should look like the ceiling hole, right? In item 57, it wouldn't look that big.
Maybe.
That's way too big.
Well, that's the thing. Unless it was.
Yeah,
well, yeah, it looks like something would have hit it, like a head or
shotgun maybe or something. I don't know.
Oh, it would have been more. Maybe a slug from a shotgun, but there would have been. But the thing is that's the thing is we would have seen there would have been some damage on the counter and things like this. And once again, I'm still looking. I want to go and see, because once again, you'd figure there's some stuff there, but once again, there's a lot of differing opinions on whether the hole is there. Like me personally,
which is fine.
I still claim to this day that looking at the photo they sent, claiming that this is the hole, or this is the first photo we get to see where we see the hole. I know we've had discussion on this. Another area we agree to disagree on, but where I think I'm seeing the hole, and some of you guys are saying you guys don't see it, and that's fine. Once again, I very well could be wrong. So,
I think I see it too. What's kind of weird is they pointed out the exact thing that I pointed out on a public video.
Right.
It wasn't just me. Obviously, there were other people that were pointing it out and saying, "Look, okay, if the hole is, there, this is where it should be." It's just kind of weird that they pretty much only sent that same photo. It's like, wait a minute, you guys should have. This should have been a big deal. Doesn't that also show how seriously they did not take this? It's
exactly.
Like, okay, there's a hole there, and you only have one photo?
Mm-hmm.
That's also a big, big problem.
Right.
And then that's a BCA photo, and they were trying to tell me that it is an Apple Valley photo.
I think they're trying to cover their butts on that one. I really do. They're like, oh, no.
I do too.
We got the photo. Don't worry, it's right there.
in that other case, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the whole panel case, they also missed bullets. So
yeah, they did. But to be fair, it was in the bicycle thingy or the treadmill.
Right.
But they did look up in the Pinnock case.
That's good. You're right.
And they saw it.
That is a victory. Yeah.
Yeah.
A big victory. And that's another thing why this case is so important on so many different levels. There's a lot that police officers can actually learn from this case, what not to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that call into 911, you can also learn what not to do from this case too.
Yes. Thank you. That was good. I totally agree. Some things, what to say, what not to say. Things that make you seem a little suspicious. Things like that. Take note of that certain person who will not be named, or people rather. But yeah, it's there's a lot of messed up things in this. So there's one other thing we were going to go and talk about. I think before we get into the timeline, we've got an hour for the timeline. So you guys got anything else you guys want to bring up?
I'm not sure I could make it another hour.
Oh, no, we totally can. We definitely want to go over the timeline and kind of cover some more things to see what you guys' opinion is on some of these things. For the who took the photo, that was BCA. Oh yeah, you already put that. Good on you, Greg.
I mean, they might have it too. They might have a photo, but that photo
It'd be different
that
then.
they gave us is a BCA photo. It's not a DSC photo, which
Right.
is what we wanted. Okay, you guys say you have this. This is it. I mean, you gotta have. Don't you have 2, 3,
Right.
4? This is the only photo you have of this.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see the photo before, whichever detective put his finger up there and fingered the hole. I mean, no, okay, not to get all dirty, people, not to get all dirty, but before they mess with the hole up there, I would like to see what that looked like because we can see direction. We can see that to some degree. We can see, we can actually see the damage. Was this something that was actually shot up there, or was this the bullet that was placed?
Well, I mean, I think, and I could be wrong, I'm just guessing here, but I think that we only have like 7 photos, but
Right.
I think the first ones that we have are probably how they saw it, how they found it. Those photos are there. Video, I don't remember if they took video or not, but they do have that before they did anything else with it. They
Right.
definitely have that. So.
Well, fair enough. You guys have anything else you guys would like to add, or any other things pertaining to this?
Are you familiar with shooting a handgun with oh God, what do they call it?
The stock?
The type of ammunition that David had.
A hollow point?
Yes.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I am not familiar with shooting at all. I'm not an expert in that way.
Well, if somebody were to make a real, that would be one of the first things you would do is you would take a .45 cal hollow point. You would look at where you would do actually multiple shots into the ceiling, into some plywood. That's all that it really is. That could have been done. Eric Nelson could have done that. He spent more money on sending a film crew out to my to my family's house. He could have spent that money on that. Could have done a lot of things. The cops could have done that too.
Yeah.
To really see, okay, well, if this happened here, what is a 45 count? What does it look like?
Yeah, they didn't analyze anything.
They didn't do any of that.
Yeah, they just basically said, okay, we got what was said in these police reports, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go off this.
I mean,
so
my reasoning behind that was, if he had shot himself
right.
with that handgun and that type of bullet, did it have the momentum to punch through the ceiling after it went through his head and bounce around and then end up in the attic?
And not leave any blood or anything like that.
Well, and the thing is, I think it has enough that it could have punched through. As for bouncing around, I don't think so.
I know that they were taking photos of like the rafters around.
Right.
So, but
how
my
it bounced
guess
around is something
that
that's kind of
once it-
weird.
Well, one of the things that a hollow point does is it mushrooms out
Right.
or whatever it does. The petals that it has, once it goes through its target.
Right.
So it's still being able to punch through and, like at an upward angle.
Well, like that's the thing.
Bounce
This is where this comes to knowing directly where David was shot, or if he was shot there. And I just want to make that very clear. Was he shot there? And at what angle and what? I mean, once again, we don't have the exact thing. Once again, there's no pool of blood, so it makes you kind of think: was he shot there?
Well, I mean, any of the bullets, all of the bullets, the other bullets that are at that scene that are tied to someone, are found in the living room floor.
Right. Well, except the one
you know.
that actually went through, and that did go into the. But was that there first or not?
Well, the one that goes into the basement, right? That one is so similar to item 57 And we know that the one that went into the basement, item 45, didn't hit any person.
Right.
Why does it look so similar to item 57? And they're trying to tell us that hit David. So it is kind of weird, you know. And that's not stuff that the cops would know. They think, well, we found 4 bullets, you know. Well, okay, well, there must be, you know, right? They found 4 spent rounds, or 3 spent rounds. I mean,
I thought there was...
Even if they just find 3, that's all that they need to say that each person was shot once.
I could have sworn it was
3.
I could have sworn. I know they found 6 casings. I know that. I believe 6 or 7 casings, and then they found. I could have sworn it was like 6 rounds were spent because there was 4 bullets that were used.
Not found on the same day though.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some issues with when they found them. You know, those numbers to me never really seem to match up. So.
Nope. Which, I mean, that's already off.
53 and 57 were found later.
Mm-hmm.
But they found 3 of them that had Camille's DNA on it. The hair, skin, everything. And those are very, very... I mean, it's obvious that they went through her.
Right. Yeah. And they found 45, so that's 4 bullets that they found at the crime scene, basically, right? When they left that house.
And then the fragment piece over by the window.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I really wouldn't count that as a bullet, but yeah, they seem to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then and then they had all the shell casings, and the dog could have been running around the scene and possibly like kicking the casings, even kicking the bullets.
Right.
I mean, things could have been moved. It's very plausible. So it's kind of hard to tell where.
There's just so much more damage.
Well, keep in mind too. I mean,
than would ever be in a pact or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely.
There wouldn't be that many shots. You wouldn't need that many shots. I think item 45 pretty much proves that there was not a pact.
Right.
Because it was shot into the ground, didn't hit anybody. You could also say, I think, item 7 is the unspent round that was just left there, right? It's right there, and nobody shot that. I mean, there's just so many different things. I hate to go back to that pack theory, but it's just it's just really one of the more sillier things in this case this is why it has raised so many red flags towards certain people that keep acting like this is an actual theory. You could talk to Kamel's sister. She does not believe that there was any type of pact. There are other people that do. You know, I mean, it's a valid question, but it's like, man, like if you guys are going to say this, have some facts, have something to really back it up.
Speaking on that, so I do want to go and look on the flip side of that. Okay, I don't know if you've heard this theory. I know this has been spouted by another person from, well, not another person, same person, who spouted this as well. Once again, they've been spouting a lot of different things lately, so just want to go and bring this up. I'm not saying their name, of course, but their theory is that based on Rhaenia's room, how jumbled it is, and the way David's room looked, apparently, or David and Camel's room, rather, that it looks like, you know, Camel and Rhaenyra were fleeing. They were trying to flee David, and that she was leaving him. And the thing is, I mean, there's a few things here I do want to note, okay? And I agree with the sleep-in thing, yes, for the most part. For the most part. My wife lets me. I get it. But when it comes down to it, I don't like their theory is that they were trying to flee. I don't think that's a thing. So, you know, I mean, they're trying to say that was the thing. If you look at a couple of songs that were on his search history, I'll bring that up on the screen right now. Actually, there's Spartan Fidelity, which was I'm trying to remember the name of the song. It was something like what was it? I remember the name of the song. Spartan Fidelity. Where was it? Should be right here, I think. So we know there's Killian's Red.
Ever thought that was a wrong number?
Which number?
the infidelity thing?
Well, the Spartan Infidelity is it's a band.
Oh, okay.
And they did this song. It's called "Where Is This Coming From?" And he actually goes and looks at the lyrics. Okay, now I'll bring these lyrics up so you guys can see it.
Now, which document is that from?
I have this up on the screen right now. It's the complete timeline. It's got the journal entries, well, the timeline of those, and then the search history.
Oh, but this is what the thing you're talking about is from David's journal?
This is from his search history. Spartan Fidelity, where is this coming from?
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to read this real quick. I'm not going to play the song because copyright infringement, obviously. And Twitch doesn't like it when we play music, so... Okay. But it says, closer, close your coat, your eyes won't float, so please don't try. Change your time, since days of yours and mine that tie us together. Kramer, weigh yourself. I thought that was weird. Kramer who? There's really no one else can give me a favor while I take your claim until nothing else remains. The wait is over. It's a little dark. I mean, we've listened to this song. It's kind of, it almost seems a little kind of techno-y kind of thing. It's not, maybe not techno-y, but it seems a little more kind of like, it's kind of got like elements of maybe dance or some kind of electronic kind of music going on. You listen to it, I mean, it does sound, I mean, the way it also sounds, it also seems a little kind of dark. I can't find any meaning, like what people are saying, this is what the meaning of the song is. I could give my 2 cents about it, I mean, but...
What the meaning of this song is?
Yeah, I've been trying to go and see what people see this meaning of the song is, yeah.
There's tons of songs that they would listen to, I mean...
Well, yeah, and the thing is, I mean, we're looking at it, you know, directly when this was, and this was at 8:30 in the morning, almost 8:31 in the morning, and this is on December 24th. Okay, so, and somebody had been up since 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you look the previous night, it looked like there was no searching it that night, right? There was only early in the morning searches, so... There's this thing that they keep saying, oh, David was up all night and, you know, he hadn't slept for days. There's huge gaps in between search history, right, and between what we know, right? Search history.
He hasn't slept for days.
That's my point.
Nobody had communicated.
And see this is my point with
you would have to be there.
Exactly, and this is where we also get shortly after that. In the timeline, Sean Wright posted a photo, the only one at the time on his Twitter page, of a Christmas tree and gifts. Okay, and this is also the day Brett Millay saw a figure who he assumed was David in the window across the street at the Crowley home. This is, was this also that same day that he posted something? Okay, maybe it wasn't. And then a music playlist of 53 songs began playing continuously in a loop on David's MacBook Pro. And that was for his Ascent, which once again, I believe those are the things on the side of his MacBook Pro. Possible date of Crowley family kidnapping or being held against their will. This is what I firmly believe. I do believe there was something going on here. Were they at the home? Who knows? But then the other song I want to bring up is on the 23rd. And this is actually right before, this is like about an hour and a half-ish before he looks up the Satanic Verses once again. It was a novel written by Salman Rushdie, so before anybody says, oh, Satan, he was worshiping. No, he wasn't. This is literally, he was researching something that has heavy Islamic connection to it, right? It goes into lore and all sorts of other things like this. But he looks up Not a Surf lyrics, and this is for the song Killian's Red. Now, if anybody knows, if you guys are beer enthusiasts, I think it's George Killian's like Red Ale or something like this is what the total name of this drink is. But for this song, they call it Killian's Red. They're specifically speaking about apparently a quote unquote, from what I've read, very tasty drink. But if you look at the lyrics, which I will bring up right now.
You know, I really hope nobody goes through my music history and...
Right, no, I'm with you on that too. Yeah, Yeah, my lyrics, the songs I listen to, for crying out loud, I mean, you'd see even every now and then Baby Shark popping up. Like, the hell is this guy listening to? Oh my god.
Yeah,
You see Baby Shark, you're already thinking suicide. Oh, that's a bad thing to joke about, but still, you know, anybody that knows about that song knows. Evil song, go away. The power of Christ compels you.
I've never.
Well, you know, it's like,
is there supposed to be a tie? Like, how does that?
Oh no, it's just a terrible song. No, it's just terrible. I've heard it.
There's way too many things. It's like people are desperate
Mm-hmm.
to put the gun in David's hand, and they can't.
They can't.
So they don't focus on that. They focus on trivial things, other things like that, to just try to trick people. It's
Right.
like none of that. You know, whatever David had, whatever he was playing.
Yeah, he liked
had
music.
Nothing to do with,
Well,
you know, putting to proving that David Crowley killed anybody.
I just want to make
Put
this.
the gun in his hand. It's weird.
So I don't know if anybody else has put the 2 and 2 together on this. If everybody listens to what David listens to, most of his music he listens to have guitar in it. I've been listening, and what did David like to play? The guitar.
mm-hmm.
I mean, voila,
also
we have the
listen-
connection. That's the connection
but-
right there.
But you can see in Eric Nelson's film the connection they're trying to make. The reason why they play the song at the very end, it is a suicide song.
Right.
It is a song that it was on David's playlist.
Yep.
You know, they're trying to subconsciously trick people instead of saying, "Hey, we can put the gun in David's hand. Yeah, man, we can show David shot for everybody. Case closed." You
Yeah,
know,
they can't do it.
it's-
That's why.
They can't do it. They can't do it.
You know, I do want to bring up. I do want to call. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's plenty of songs like on my music playlist that I've listened to that are depressing, but I mean, what makes a suicide song?
Right.
Are they legit saying, I'm going to slice my wrist right now after this song is over? I mean, what constitutes a suicide song?
From what I've gathered on how a lot of people, when they look at like suicide as like, oh, we're going to look at this as like, this is what this case is about. It was a suicide, right? They usually look at it as if, from what I've gathered, and this is multiple other cases this has occurred on, where they basically look at the songs as they got to trigger a specific type of emotion. And it's got to be something that's a very common emotion that's brought up with pretty much everybody, right? It's got to be something. My question is, how are you testing this? Come on now, we know they're not going outside, pulling the mark dice and being like, hey, how does this song make you feel? No, we know they're not doing this. So this is based on their own, how they're taking it. And I agree with you. I mean, that's honestly, if you break it down, that's directly the only thing they'd be able to do to legitimize that, unless this is something they can find where people are actively saying, oh, this is a very depressing song. Oh, man, makes me feel like I want to kill myself. Things like this. That's the only way I see this as a possibility. You can read the lyrics. They might seem depressing, but once again, they might have a totally different meaning.
And why not play that one song on a loop nonstop?
Right.
Instead of 53 other songs.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to get into the mood to commit suicide or do whatever you're doing, why not have that one song?
Oh yeah, exactly.
But I don't know.
So I'm gonna read off the lyrics on this next one. It's called Killian's Red, and you guys can tell me what you guys think on this one as well if you guys want. But it says, "I'm putting this night down to bed because I was sitting at the bar hoping your walk in the door that says Killian's Red because I left you a note that said come on out and we'll both get right off of our heads and float up off the chair. We'll go on vacation tonight under a sun of neon light, and I almost love this town when I'm by your side. You woke me from a long sleep and I'm almost back, closer than ever to finding the hidden track. If I told you the truth, you wouldn't like what I said. I almost believed I was dead. There'll be no more waiting. You're gonna melt all the ice in our heads. There will be no more crying. You're going to make it all better instead." And then the verse, or that's the verse. And then, of course, the chorus is, "I get secrets at night, but they don't stay. I get secrets at night, but they go away." What are your guys' take on that? I mean, to me, it doesn't sound super depressing.
Guilty. 100% guilty.
I mean, yeah, David's guilty just based on the song.
Case closed.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go and arrest his dead body.
Problem solved.
Yeah, right. Throw him in prison.
I guess the music is what convinced me he was guilty.
Right.
You know, if I ever die, please don't listen to my music that I had on my playlist.
No, I agree, and that's the
I
thing.
don't want to be considered, suicidal or a maniac or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. It's like, that's why I keep telling everybody at the same time. I say this every single night since I've been looking at this case. Have to, at least. I'm not, if I ever die, it's like, I would hope somebody doesn't just go and take my playlists and stuff I listen to and, oh, yeah, this guy here. I mean, hell, I have David's playlist on as one of my playlists I have. I actually listen to the playlist when I'm actually working the case. Just to kind of get myself into kind of, what he listened to so I can kind of think. I know it sounds weird, but some people they do different kinds of things to get themselves in the groove of things. That's my way of doing it usually. Lately, not as much, but I mean, they could easily say the same thing at that point to me. Oh, well, his playlist. He killed himself because no, please, come on, investigate further. Actually, show some good detective work. Yeah, I don't think his playlist had anything to really show about his mood necessarily. I think it was kind of a way to kind of keep him, focused. I know a lot of people use music to keep themselves focused, to kind of, not have silences. Me personally, I don't know a whole lot of people that like to work in silence. I almost don't, and like I had trouble, like even on testing, like if I couldn't have, if I couldn't listen to some music, it was like very frustrating to me. Because anytime I would study, once again, it's a known fact. If you study and you're listening to music, you're going to retain that better because now you have kind of a trigger to kind of, oh, boom, boom. You studied with this. You kind of, what was his name? It was the guy that did the dog experiment. Pavlov, yeah. It's a Pavlovian thing right there. So you're basically just training yourself to do it. So it's like you're able to remember. That's why I always hated teachers and bastards. I digress about that, but that's what we see the problem we have today with teachers and students now. But
well, I mean, we have somebody in the kitchen obviously cooking.
Right.
And when I cook, I listen to music.
Yeah, makes sense.
And Ronnie was probably, well, I don't know where she was, honestly. But
she looked like she was in some PJs, potentially, so.
Yeah. Anything that we do around the house, cleaning or sitting down, like I've been studying several different textbooks and going over some things. I have music playing, like
right.
You said. It's just, I need that background noise.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I mean, anybody that's got kids that totally think they understand this. There's kids there. God, just to drown out the whole high-pitched squealing and screaming and it's like,
my gosh.
It's like, okay, peace of mind, give me music, peace of mind. No Baby Shark. And enough Paw Patrol, no more of that. That could just be me, I don't know, but this is how I see it. I see it the same way. It's just, I think it was just there just to kind of drown out maybe the child, being so loud, as children do. So I think you're right on point with that. I think that's directly what this is. So, any thoughts, Greg?
Another distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, again, it's like, well, what does this have to do with the case? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. You have to look at everything, right?
Right.
I love that people are looking at everything. I love the different things that people throw out. I think it's great. I think we all need to look at all of these different things. But, 1 and 1 has to equal 2.
Right.
And there's just not a lot of that there. And it also goes back to, it isn't about what we think. It's about what can we prove.
Exactly.
Because that's what the police are telling us that they did. They're telling us that they were able to prove David Crowley guilty. These Gray State goons are telling us that they were able to prove David Crowley guilty.
Right.
We're just not seeing it. You know, we're not saying, okay, that's great to say that, and for 6 years you've been telling people that, messaging people, but you haven't been able to give them any evidence towards that. And, you know, if it's that clear cut, then just show us the evidence. Anybody that's making videos about the David Crowley case, if you think he's guilty, make a video to show the evidence where he's guilty. That's
Right.
where it should be. We're not really getting that. I think we've pretty much done, you know, a really good job at kind of looking at all of this stuff from so many different views, so many different thoughts, and really just saying, you know, man, when you really break it down, what can they really do to show that David Crowley did any of this? And why would we just accept what they're telling us when they can't really prove what they're saying here? I mean, it's just, it's so, this case is so different from any other case that I've ever looked at.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
I mean, there's been a final report. The police will come out and say, the family does a press conference, you know, something. Nothing like that in this case. It's so hushed up. It's so quiet. But at the same time, they're going to come out and do a big media propaganda in two different phases.
Mm-hmm.
Phase one was right after David died, and you have all of these people that have been working with David, that knew David, that are like, what the heck is going on here?
Right.
They're really the big target in that first phase, right? The second phase was people like us. They didn't really think that there was going to be that many people like us to
Right.
really come out. They thought it was going to be that we would all think that the government did it. You know, it's a government hit, et cetera, a human sacrifice. They never really thought that we would actually want to look at what the facts show, to look at these documents. And then now we're in phase three here, where it's like, now they're really backed into a corner. They've had phase one and phase two to try to prove David guilty. They can't do it. What the hell makes them think that they can do this in phase three?
Right.
They can't. They're backed into a corner that they cannot get out of unless they admit that David Crowley is not guilty. That's it. That's their only option now.
Fair point.
Well, you know, they've been using the whole prophecy video, which they call the rapture video.
Right.
And it's, if anybody puts, I've said this many, many times, put your headphones on or earbuds and listen to the entire thing that they have on the documentary, because you will hear the clicks where it was stopped and edited, stopped and edited. And it's like, when David talks, when he finishes, you could hear that click. When Kamel talks, you could hear that click when she finishes. So they were cutting and pasting things.
Right.
We don't have the full unedited 7 minutes of that incident.
Yeah. I mean, even then, it's like, you know, I don't remember what I did it on exactly, but I did some audio work with those clips. I think it was actually to prove that they were cut. I think that's something we talked about as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is that something you and I talked about, where we tried to see if they were cut?
You and me?
Yeah, I think that was something we talked about, I believe. And we worked on that to go and see if it was cut audio. Like, we could actually, we could get the actual proof of it. So I believe that was the one thing I did actually.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
you did do that.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that?
Oh, I still got it. Don't worry. I still got it. I got to get in my Google Drive for it. Let me see. In fact, I can bring that up. Fantastic. I got to see if it should be in my Google Drive. If not, it's my other computer. Well, soon be my wife's computer. But let's see. Where is it? Was it this one? Oh yeah, there's a spectrometer clips I showed as well. You could clearly see it was cut. Yeah, actually, let me bring that up. I believe that's what this was.
It's like, what's the point? Why not just play the whole entire thing?
Well,
Unless they were trying to make her crazy.
Right.
Well, they definitely were. And yeah, you're definitely right on that. I think that's why their family, kind of backed out of this whole thing. But, obviously they're going to cut it because Eric Nelson is trying to make a film, right? So he's obviously he's not trying to show the whole thing. You're absolutely right. He's only trying to show certain parts of it. So
Right.
he would probably even say that they did cut it. I don't think there's any reason why they wouldn't cut it when you think about what type of film they were trying to make, right?
Well, exactly. But, I mean, the one thing I just want to point out real quick, so for those that are kind of curious what this whole thing means, real quick on the spectrometer. So this top one here, you guys can see, that's my wife and I speaking. Okay? You can see, pretty straightforward, right? There's no real, cuts, right? There's no, let me bring that up real quick so you guys can see that. There's no cuts like there is over here. Okay, these are very clear cuts, and you can also see, once again, this should be matching all the way through. Okay, now that I can prove that, because now you look down here, and this is with me speaking, and this is with a fan on. So don't pay any attention to the top up here where it's got the green and all this, right? That's just the audio by itself. Now, you look down here at the spectrometer, this is where you're going to catch it, okay? Because if this audio here was not cut, right? This was just strictly me speaking with the fan on and just throwing it up there. Okay, you don't see any cut marks, okay? There's none down here at all. They match these perfectly. Now you look over here. Now this is the part I want to pay very close attention to. And I'm going to actually zoom in so everybody can see it a little bit better. Wrong one. Let me bring that up real quick. There we go. And we're going to expand that in just a second. Should be good. And I will zoom in now. Oh, that's not zooming in very well. Okay, let me just open this up. Oh, here it is. Perfect. There it is. Okay. Should be able to see it perfectly. There we go. Okay. So you see these little marks right here. There's this one here and this one here. These are very, very clear indicators it was cut. You can see right here, look where the audio dips. Now, if you guys are listening to this clip, you'll see there's an area where it looks like, even based on where she's at and all this area cuts. Okay, it doesn't, nothing matches, right? You're going to see this in that clip. This area doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be there. I mean, this should be there, but there should be more in between this area and this area. Very, very clear. That's, once again, that's just checking the audio. You can see this kind of stuff. Anybody that's, if they literally are an expert on audio. I mean, Greg, as a producer, he could probably go in. You could probably talk to him about this if you really wanted to. And he'd probably tell you the exact same thing. Cuts like this, they're obvious there's more there. So they try to go and cut and paste to make it look as good as they can. Now there are ways to make a cut there, but they're very obvious just like this. But once again, when it comes to the things that are accidental, you can see it's an accident through the spectrometer here. And that's the thing, once again, we know these were cut. And once again, I get why he cut it, And once again, if it was a very, very long clip, okay, just to throw it out there, play devil's advocate here for a second. It's a very long clip and there wasn't anything in between. Okay, I get why he cut it so that way they've got a short little break in there, and then just to kind of show, okay, well, there was some conversation to not show a clear cut. Because then people will complain. But there's a clear cut, and my guess is there was more conversation there. I feel like there was more conversation directly about what she was talking about, because we can also look at the journal entries, and I do feel like they kind of coincide with it, kind of what was said in this clip. So, and I do plan on getting everything organized with videos. They're not going to be it'll be just kind of like where the videos take place on the timeline, so we can actually see everything directly when things were filmed, yada yada yada. So at Gray Stage, I will be taking that info and pop it in the timeline as well, see how that kind of plays along with it. But I'm telling you right now, this is this thing is going to get blown wide open here real soon. So and I think the timeline, I still firmly believe that is the key to blowing this case up, so that way we can actually get it reopened. I think is the absolute key. Any thoughts on spectrometer, timeline being key.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sophia.
I think it was pretty cool that you were able to do that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because that just proves it right there.
Yeah.
Everything that I was hearing with the headphones, that proves it.
Exactly.
And I invite other people, please put a pair of earbuds in or really good headphones and listen to that part. And you'll definitely hear the editing.
Absolutely. I'm going to move this back a little bit. There we go. Perfect.
Okay, it's 2 o'clock here, and I'm going to have to shoot off.
Okay, no worries. We've only got another half an hour. You could hang on for another half an hour roughly, Greg, or?
I will try.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, if you got to go, just let me know, and we'll go with that.
Do. Yeah.
And also, just in case anybody's interested too, after this stream, I'm going on to another stream for some more Dead by Daylight to get a little irritated again, I'm sure. So, so expect it. It's gonna happen. As much as I would really, I need to go and take some time away from the case and just hunker down and get angry at some stupid douchebags playing a game. So, cheating bastards. But exactly, they're all cheaters. And I'll say it again.
Life has to be balanced out. It can't just all be about these things. And this case is one of those cases where people need to really do that. So just,
absolutely.
Take a little break. Make sure it's not. Make sure you're still living life and everything. But I mean, when you think about it, we're really only doing this part time. I don't know anyone that is doing what we're doing full time. If they are, great. I mean,
awesome. I'm getting up there on full time schedule pretty much. I mean, I really am. Like, you can ask my wife; it bothers the hell out of her. But at the same time, she understands because she's seen. I've woke her up. I'll put it that way. She recently has awakened to what's going on in the world, and I've definitely shown her with proof and all this, and she's just like, holy crap, fuck, I see why you're looking at this case. I see why. I'm like, yes, exactly. So she's been a little more supportive on that as well, so it's been very good. But it's I involve her on this too, where we'll be looking at something together, so it's been kind of a group effort. But I do get up there on the hours on this thing pretty quickly. But back to what we were talking about. So, yeah, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot, and I guess there's a lot we need to add in. I'm sure you can probably agree. Add in the gray stage stuff, what they had to say, kind of matching along with this, what actually fits and what doesn't. And not like forcing it in, but, when they timestamp things, this is the date when this occurred, and we've got proof of this, right? Then we throw this in here and then see how this all lines up. But the thing is, the whole point of this paints a picture of their everyday life. We get to see from David's perspective. We get to see very, very far back. We get to see all the way back to the beginning of 2014, all the way up until his death. You get through phone records and things like this, who he was speaking to, if it was going to voicemail, things like this. We get to actually see this. You get to see who he was actually speaking to on a daily basis. I'm going to tell you right now, everybody, Adam Shambor was probably one of the most talked to people in David's life, right? Between him and Kamel, those are the two people that were talked about from what I've seen so far, talked to the most. Whether the calls be short or not, it doesn't make a difference. It's the fact that they were constant, there was constant conversation. And obviously David was going from talking to Adam Shambor to Chris Peck to, he was contacting people that were part of his team initially. And early 2014, they were very, very well connected. They all talked, right? We even got to see Chris Klein on the numbers. Okay. I've been tracking these numbers down like crazy. So there's a lot going on. Like I said, in fact, I will, just so you can see, I'm going to bring this up on a separate one, because I don't think you've seen this yet, Greg. But I am getting their phone records all put into this format. Okay, so I'm going to go and open this in a different... Shouldn't be up now. Perfect, it's not. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go like this, so you can see the timeline and kind of see what I'm doing. We're going to go down and we're going to put it into... There we go. Okay, so you can see up on the screen now, this is what I'm working on currently. Oh, holy crap, there we go. Let me move this over a little bit. Oh, good night, Sophia. Totally forgot to say that. I'm sorry about that. So this is what I'm working on currently. I want to get all the phone... Like, I'm not putting their phone numbers here. I do have their phone numbers over here, but I'm putting the timeline together to see who he's talking to. Was this going to voicemail? Blah, 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 you know. Because then we can see who he was talking to and then how often the conversations were occurring. I will have a graph to show directly who he was talking to and at what time and all this, so we can actually directly see, was he talking to this person here, was he talking to there? You know, we get to see where their conversations start to drop off. I'm very curious about who this Dolores Dixon is, though. Could have been somebody else's number at the time. I'll definitely double check with you after the stream if you're still on. It's another 18 minutes.
I think that was his neighbor. That was one of his neighbors. It was Anne Marie. Oh, he said Dixon.
Yeah.
Not Dixon.
Yeah, it was Dolores Dixon when I saw, and there's somebody that lives over in, I think it was Illinois. I'll have to double check that. It could have been Texas too, but he contacted that person a few times. So, but I'm going all the way back. I'm gonna eventually get the 1st of January when we got the first C with David's old phone records and go all the way up. But where I decided, okay, I'm gonna go and take a step back, and we're gonna go from April. That's when the journals were, right? And we're going to go from there all the way up, and then we're going to go up to the new records, and if Kamel's records are too. So that way we see who were they speaking to, who were they texting. And the text will also appear in this timeline as well. So we get to see, and this will also have, I'm going to add another column up here, which will also be for text messages. Was this a text or was this a phone call? Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how many pages is this so far?
What
you have right
what
now.
I have? Oh, I'm only on line 28 currently.
Okay.
I'm only on line 28. I have a long way to go. So I'm aiming to have this done by Tuesday. Once again, I mean, if you're interested in helping, I would love to help. But yeah, I'm only putting people I trust on I'm giving them access to edit. So if you're finding anything, if you want in on this, just let me know, and I'll give you the invites. That way you've got edit capabilities as well.
I mean, yeah, if there's something that I can look at, maybe I'll try to.
Yeah, because I'm just using just their phone records, those 3 phone records, and adding in all the phone number or the phone calls first, and then I'm gonna add the texts in between, because we know there wasn't as many texts. I mean, with Kamel, it was a different story. I believe she had the one that there was a ton of text, and there was a bunch of calls, but there was a ton of text. So adding those in will be very interesting. So we get to see who everybody was talking to. I mean, even if you look at the GPS, that's the thing I do want to make very clear. Looking at the GPS, if you guys aren't familiar with how that works, you basically get the longitude, latitude, then you get, like, it basically goes to the cell tower. So they're trying to aim you at, but once again, you look at where these longitude, latitude are, that's going to tell you where they're at, and then after that, it's going to tell you basically which cell tower basically that was being used. And there's some interesting areas that David had been at. I'm going to definitely put it that way, and I'm very curious about those areas. Once again, I mean, because the other thing, and like I said, there's a theory that once again I can't fully shut down, right? That because we know that David and Kamel were having issues. Why do we know this? Well, because we got to see that from an email from Kamel to Allison. We know there was something they were having issues with. I'm still, and like I said, there's some things I would love to go and find out, because I'd heard there was, and I've been hearing this for some time now, that there was, that apparently somebody has proof of Mason Hendricks, or maybe it wasn't just him, but there was at least Mason Hendricks who was constantly hitting on David, or David's wife, and if there's proof, I'm looking for it, so that way I can actually say, okay, I've seen the proof at least. I don't even need to necessarily share it.
He's told me that. I mean, that's what he pretty much told me was, he made it seem like he was joking.
Right. I don't think he would be, though. I don't think he would be joking about it if he was hitting on her. I think he was very serious about it.
It's kind of weird.
Well, he's a weird guy.
But he also had a dream. So he had this dream that that David had shot her, or David was about to shoot her, and Hendricks is standing there, and David turns to Hendricks and is about to shoot Kamel, and he says, "If you want her, you can have her," something like that. And then David shoots Kamel. and then he had this other one, I think, where he kissed Camille or something like that. So yeah, he's had, some strange things.
He's
like that.
definitely
But,
lusting after her for sure.
yeah, he's lusting after her maybe, but I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't
It's
necessarily
weird.
prove guilty.
It's
I mean,
weird.
it doesn't
No,
necessarily mean he's guilty, but it just definitely means he's a kind of a, he was lusting after her. And once again, I mean, honestly, I mean, if a guy's lusting after his friend's wife, I mean, he should probably check his priorities. That's my opinion. But,
I mean, it could have just been what he said it was, right?
maybe just a dream.
Yeah, just
Kind of jokes. And,
yeah.
I mean, the minute you're dreaming, I mean, that's how I see it. If a guy's dreaming about another guy's wife, in two different fantasies about having his wife, in some way, shape, or form, either it be, okay, well, you can go have her if you go have her in death. It's pulling like a Romeo and Juliet type of scenario. Like, it's almost like that fantasy of it. I would definitely argue he's not joking. I would argue at that point he's definitely not. But yeah, that's fair. That's fair then. So we'll call that my proof for right now. But it's it's one of those things. I mean, we're trying to go and find all these different things about, like, So I'm still trying to find out where him and David actually contact each other, because I mean, I don't have his number. I'm going to put it that way. I don't have his number. I'm not necessarily looking for it. I'll put it that way. But if it's in his phone records, Mason Hendricks, I believe we have access to it from his text messages. But besides the point, but But the thing is, I mean, we can actually use that to actually see, was he in phone calls with David? And if he was, I mean, obviously we know that he and David were not super close. Let's be honest. They were not super close. Just like Sean Wright claiming him and David were super close. David didn't want him around. It was very obvious with the journal entries. He's like, no, go away. Come on, man. You were here for a few things, but you were also trying to just live at my house with me, and I don't want that. He made that very clear in his journal.
It kind of seems like he didn't know Hendricks for that long, maybe a couple years, 2 or 3 years.
At most.
At most.
Yeah, it seemed more like he was like an acquaintance. Somebody that he knew somebody was...
he hired him. I think David hired him to do like some backup camera work or something like that. I think that's what...
Seemed about right. Because the thing is, I mean, that's where I'd love to find out where he's connected to this case, because we're also seeing, I don't know if you've seen, he's been tied to some of these same things that Sean Wright has been tied to, namely the rallies, or not rallies, but the quote-unquote peaceful protests. He's been spotted several times, not to mention he's also documented from both sides. He's also... politically, I don't know where he stands, and I don't think that really matters a great deal, but I think there's some stuff there that I think that he's not saying. He might be employed by other people that he's not, maybe being upfront with us or everybody else in the world about, or anybody else for that matter. I mean, there's that possibility. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think there's definitely something worth looking into, but... these phone records, though, I think they're going to be showing a lot. They're going to be shedding a lot of light on how close he was with people, and that's why I think the graphs are really going to help, because then we can just refer to the graph and be like, oh, look, he was having conversation with this person frequently, and all of a sudden it drops off, and he's not really having a conversation with them anymore. And we can track it by date when things occur. So then we can go based on that. We can go and use the timeline, and once this is all in the timeline, you see how these things operate. Then. I mean, I don't know how everyone, I don't know how, you or Sophia or anybody else, how frequently you guys are talking to people. I mean, but, if somebody's not on good terms with me, for instance, their phone calls will either just drop off just instantly, or text, things like this, or, messages entirely, either be Facebook, Twitter, whatever. But I will remove contact from them permanently. I won't seek them out. And, I had this friend David. I don't seek him out at all. Caused a lot of, he was causing a lot of drama, a lot of problems, and I didn't appreciate it. It was getting kind of annoying, things like that. So I cut him out. Same thing. I had some other people in my life for a bit, and I cut them out too for that same reason. But yeah, it's rather interesting, because I mean, everybody else I've talked to, I've talked to my mom, You know, I mean, her and I have our issues, and I mean, I asked her how would you do things, and she cuts people off the same way. She'll either gradually do it, you know, and then once they basically finally in the coffin, stops talking to them, right? My dad, same way. I mean, he's pretty much just keeps to himself anyways. You know, my aunt, my sister, my brother, my wife, cousins, they all do the same thing. So I think it's, for the most part, pretty common. You know, that's how people are going to do it. They're either going to gradually cut them off or they're going to just full on, they're out. So I go on a loop and say that's basically what we can actually see through these phone records as well, and these texts. And we know that David had issues with Danny August Mason. Why? Because he mentioned it in the journal. We know that there was some issues. You can feel the tension when reading Danny August Mason's emails to David. David seemed very, very professional for the most part, and Danny August Mason, you could definitely tell he was getting frustrated. He did not want to lose the Gray State deal at all. He did not want to be kicked off that team. And he knew that's what was going on. You know, David was very, very careful, and that's the reason he got a lawyer, to make sure everything he did, that Danny August Mason could not get a part of it. And, I mean, I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment, you know, but these are things, like I said, I think that we're going to be able to kind of prove character on a lot of these other people. Like I said, I know this other group is basically going to say, oh, no, you can't prove character based on all this. Well, if you piece it all together, I feel you can, you know. How frequently is somebody talking to somebody? You can kind of gauge, well, how important are they to this person? You know, are they on good terms, bad terms? You can kind of see this. I don't know. You have any thoughts on this at all?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't even waste my time on people that aren't really open to David not, you know, being guilty.
Right.
You know, it's just not really worth the time. They're not really. They obviously don't know that much about this case. They're not looking at it, you know, from an objective point. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's hard to really waste time with people like that. And that's why, you know, when some of these guys contacted me, you know, I wanted to get what they thought. I wanted to get them on record. I wanted to get their quotes to see how they felt about this case. And then, you know, I knew that I would just kind of go from there. But it was just, yeah, it was really sad. It was really shocking kind of to see, like, wow, you guys are David's friend. You guys are claiming to be David's friends.
Right.
Why would I believe that you're David's friend? The way that you're talking about him, the way that you're doing all of this stuff. It's more about the vanity of it. It's more about the vanity project. It's not about David. It's not about, you know, any of that. If it was, why would you guys even, you know, keep going forward with it? Like, if you really thought David was such a horrible person that would kill all these people, why are you guys still running his social media channels? Why are you still trying to put out the film that he's going to be in? Why does Eric Nelson's film have the soundtrack that's basically by David?
Right.
You know, that they're using his footage. They're doing all of this. He has a credit on this film, and I don't know. It's just, there's just a lot of twisted things like that. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to spend too much time on people that, you know, don't want to really focus on what the documents say. They don't want to focus on facts. It's just all of this stuff, all of these games to just get people to not focus on the real crime here, the real issue here. And to me, it's really simple. That's why I wrote this short book. This book is a very short book talking about all that stuff.
Right.
It's to make sure that people really focus there. They try to get us to focus somewhere else, and you know, that's, I still don't fully understand why, but I don't think it is because they know David Crowley is guilty. I think it's something else. Yeah. For sure.
Well, another thing, I know this is going to kind of segue a little bit to a kind of a different topic here, but when looking at this, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, we've made it. I think even by now, throughout our conversation tonight, very obvious David is not guilty. You know, we were able to shut down some things. Like I said, all I have to really say, I think you'd probably agree with the same thing: blood spatter, lack of blood, you know, also bullet trajectory, rounds spent, things like this. I mean, none of this proves it. None of this proves they did it. On top of that, why are their heads missing? Two of the heads, why are they gone? Why are they just gone? None of this makes sense, right? But the thing is that one thing I do really want to talk about, really, really want to talk about, is the fact that there's a lot of people trying to say that he was looking at all this dark stuff, right? Well, if we look at what he was looking at through his search history, we know that Mason Hendricks is actually 100% incorrect. There's a little bit we can look at that talks about like the supernatural, right? We get the Prince of Darkness. Why was he looking at the Prince of Darkness, right? Well, once again, it's a psychological thing, so why wouldn't he look this up? He's also working on a script that's very, very dark. Well, this is the great thing. So the 2014 script, we actually looked at this. Mary and Cindy were actually in chat when we were doing this last night. So we looked up. There's a lot of stuff in this that was actually brought up. Now, did you notice anything about the uranium-238 and what he was looking at with that? Are you familiar with what that is?
No.
Okay, so uranium-238. Now, this is a specific type of uranium isotope. It's radioactive, obviously. But he gets in from uranium-238 into depleted uranium. Now, one would be thinking, well, what the hell is depleted? Well, the thing is...
Iraq War.
Exactly. So have you heard about the whole depleted uranium rounds and all this?
Yeah. That was the whole reason why we allegedly went in there and everything, and that all turned out to be BS.
Exactly.
They didn't have Iraq. They were not enriching uranium or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, there's the flip side.
Deal.
We were actually these were not. This is why he was looking into at this. NATO, right? This is a NATO and American. Versus Iraq, right? We were over there for oil. We know that's what this was. We were over there not only just for the oil, but it was because of, I can get into the whole, the gold standard for currency. We know that was the big thing there. That's why we went back to Iraq, because look at right before that war, what happened. So damn insane, as I believe South Park calls it. So damn insane. Decided he wanted to go from, just kind of like how Gaddafi did, wanted to go to the gold standard. He didn't want to have this oil currency, right? Which, once again, who owns that? The Rothschild banking system, blah, 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 blah. All goes back to money. It's all back to the banking system. This is all where it goes back to. Funny how, look what the Rise talks about, the banking system. Now, this is all connected. This is the really, really cool part about this. This connects directly to his newest script, the one we got. All of this is that depleted uranium. Those are rounds that were being used on Iraqi children and people. People were actually getting poisoned. These rounds, if they didn't kill you, they poisoned you, and you get really, really sick. Okay, so that's what he was looking at. And if you look into the depleted uranium, was actually talked about in the Iraq War. See, I wasn't too familiar with this going into the case a whole lot. I'd heard rumors and all this. I was like, whatever, Iraq War, whatever.
That was what they used to say that we could go into that country, that they were trying to build it, that they were trying to create this, and then that was the reason why, because we had to go in there so they didn't get bombs or nuclear bombs.
Well, that's.
I thought we were in Afghanistan looking for Osama bin
Laden,
and all of a sudden the whole thing turns to Saddam Hussein, someone that George Bush Sr.
Well, not to get too much into Tim Osman. Osama bin Laden, but Tim Osman. Osama bin Laden. I'm gonna keep throwing that out there. Thanks, Hussein. But when it comes down to that whole thing with Afghanistan, and we know that we're the ones not to get too much into the war, but the war has to do with everything when it comes to David, like his mental state, how he thought about the military, why he wanted out, I think was a good portion of it. He didn't hate the Iraqi people. He didn't hate any of the Middle Easterns. The Middle Eastern people, he didn't hate them. In fact, I would actually argue in some ways, he felt sorry for them because of what was going on. I think he felt guilty to some degree for being over there. I think he felt some of these things here, but I think it was very much like, he was in love with the people and the culture, but I think it was more kind of like, because they were just so friendly and all this with him. And, why else would he look up the Badr Iraq? That was a terrorist organization in Iraq. Why would he look into them? I think it's because maybe there's some connection there. I haven't fully explored that area, but...
this is all tied to September 11th.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And one of the things on David's notepad on the other page that was flipped over, where they say that he wrote, Allah Akbar, submit to Allah now, whatever the heck it was. That page, one of the things that was on that list was Building 7. Now,
Right.
so it's not just about September 11th. Anybody can talk about September 11th. It's very curious the way that David Crowley didn't really go after the September 11th thing, but yet he was still looking at Building 7.
Mm-hmm.
Building 7, it is the smoking gun
Mm-hmm.
to September 11th. David Crowley would not have been sent over there if it wasn't for September 11th.
Yep.
He wouldn't have gotten stop loss for that same reason. So, I mean, yeah, all of that is definitely tied. That's a big thing for everything that David saw, and the whole military aspect. It's really hard to find good data on that.
Well, and don't worry, I've got plenty of stuff on this, so don't worry about that. I'm still going to add the rest of the Discord. So keep a close eye on that. That stuff's going to start appearing here pretty soon. September 11th stuff it's on the anniversary, and I want to release as much as I possibly can on that date on my Discord, and I'm going to go and promote the hell out of the Discord that day too. So it's going to be fantastic because I want people to wake up. I want people to wake up. This is what happened. This is on the date of that, of that tragedy. We need people to wake up. And the thing is, this is the interesting part. Like I said, the depleted uranium, that's in the script, the 2014 script.
Man, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, and I will bring it up right now. Actually, let me bring it up. Bam, bam, bam.
I totally missed that. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's early on too. No. All right. Oh, China virus. There it is. Okay. Let's see. Cases. Oops. Nope, wrong case. That's the Calico case. We're at the gray states. And we're looking at the scripts. Wait a second, yeah, I was under PDFs. There we go. Da, 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 da. Where's the GS 2014 script? Where is it? There it is, version 6. Alright. So, can you see it up on the screen right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me find the exact part. And you'll see, we noticed this last night. So, this has Iraq war right here. Dead children, depleted uranium defects. Oops, let me... in fact, what I'll do, I'll just go and download it. And then I'll go and show folder. I'll just bring this up. Don't mind me. There it is. It should be blown up a little bit more. Should be able to see a little bit better. And here we go. Bring it up this way. And I can zoom out now. Perfect. See how it looks? Perfect. Okay. So, we got this part right. We also got this right too. There's no sign of Geronimo. Boom. We know who Geronimo was. Where is it? Depleted uranium defects. Right there. And this is in the title credits. The title card. Sorry, they gotta take that from Dead Meat on YouTube. Fantastic guy, by the way. Love his.
I just want to see if he's talking about Desert Storm or what.
This is the Iraq wars, all he's talking about dead children and then depleted
But
uranium
there's like
defects.
3 Iraq wars.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing is, if you look at it, I would assume this is mostly going in order on the timeline
Right,
because.
okay, 2001.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm assuming so. And just to make it very clear, just for people in the other group that were saying that, David never misspelled anything. All I gotta say is right here, okay? He can have typos. He's human. He can make mistakes too. Okay? So could that submit to Allah? Could actually be submit to Alan? That's a possibility. We can't deny that. It is a possibility.
So this is V6. What about the other 2014 one?
Yeah,
Because I'm not sure which one is first, which one is second.
so, well, I mean, this is my point. See, so we know that he was still working on the script to some degree, and the reason we know this is because
No, he wasn't though. He was. They were moving it into a TV series. So
exactly. But the thing is, we know. Let me bring it back. I gotta go find exactly where I saw it. But there's a point where he's still talking about it. Let me see. Blah 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 blah.
yeah, after September 2014, they're moving it into a TV script. So, or I'm sorry, yeah, into a TV series.
Yes.
So,
I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but it was
I don't know
around
how much
here.
of this he's really going to keep, unless this is part of the TV series.
I think that one of the thing is like that email, I believe, between him and Jason Allen, I believe they talked about making it into like a 5-part series, which once again, having it on TV for a 5-part series, that's not unheard of. I mean, there's plenty of different,
So you've read both scripts,
yes.
right? The 2014 and this one V6. So
Yes.
Are you saying that it's possible that V6 could actually be
The newest, yes.
most current?
I believe so.
Interesting. And that could be the one that David was going to use for a TV series?
Yes.
Interesting.
And like I said, I mean, this doesn't have to be set up necessarily for, to be broken up at this point, because once again, he was trying to bring Jason Allen on. He was trying to build his team, right? And I think, honestly, like I said, you look at the options. If I had to guess, I'm guessing David was probably going to go for kind of a producer role, and also have that kind of writing credit and all this. So I think he might have wanted that kind of a setup. But at the same time, I mean, the options, they were kind of crappy anyways. But I mean, there was not a $30 million deal. We know that. We know that it was significantly less, but it was also going to be something David, I mean, obviously wanted to move to California for. We got to see that through the Journal. We got to see that through.
Let me ask you this: Why do you think there wasn't a $30 million deal? I mean, I think when Dan Hinnon spoke with Mike Boggio, what he was saying, he kind of clarified it, right? It's like, well, we thought, well, if we were to make this movie, et cetera, that it would cost about $30 million. But that was before the TV series was.
Yes.
And that all came from Jordan Page, and it sounds like Jordan Page didn't know about the TV series. I don't know if anybody else did, other than David and the Mikes.
Well, that's what I think it came down to, because even then, Jason Allen.
I have to think about that, because David did post that publicly on Facebook, where he said, I think in September, there's a couple things where he said, well, this may work better as a TV series.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I would agree. I totally would agree. It's a movie would be kind of like going the length of a Gladiator, maybe a little longer. I would not be interested in. I mean, I would go to see it one time. It's kind of like the Snyder Cut of Justice League. I watched it once.
Which I haven't seen.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So good. In my opinion, like those critics that are selling me that it's the DCU is over. Oh, no. I disagree. That's... if Zack Snyder is in charge, kind of like how Kevin Feige is in charge of Marvel, we got something going here, guys. We got something going. It's good. It's real good. Like I said, I was a big Ben Affleck Batman fan, so not to get too off topic, but very good, very good. And I think they're fumbling right now with their movie deals, but like really hard fumbles.
Now they're going to have the real Batman though. In this new Flash movie.
Well, they're going to have
Batman that I grew up with.
Well, I grew up with him too. I mean,
we all grew up with the real first Batman. But
yeah, I mean,
Michael Keaton is close number 2, I think.
See, in my opinion, I would put it Ben Affleck and Christian Bale are right around the same area. I would definitely argue Ben Affleck did it a little bit better. But if you look at the Christian Bale one, that's a lot more realistic, and that's basically the only approach that Christopher Nolan really wanted to go with on this, is keeping that kind of more realistic Batman, and did a damn good job. And now we're getting Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. I mean, I'm just saying, that's pretty fantastic. Going from Batman to Gore the God Butcher. I'm excited. Doesn't look anything like Gore, though.
No, they have too many different things. DC is not like in the same world, though. That's a really big problem with Marvel. they're putting everything in. They're even going back now with the whole multiverse thing, and they're putting things back into, into this
Continuity.
world, into this new world where DC is keeping everything separate.
Right.
And that, to me, it's like, well, why should I waste my time watching Gotham? I hear it's a great show. Why should I waste my time watching
The first
it? I'm
3 seasons were
invested.
good. The rest of it's crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a Michael Keaton thing. It's an Adam West thing. Those were Batman. Like, now that they're bringing Michael Keaton back, I'm really excited about that. I liked Man of Steel, and Ben Affleck did good in that. I thought Batman versus Superman was kind of weak.
Right.
That I had a lot of problems with it.
Well, and the thing is, when it comes to that Superman, it's like, I think it's like the new 52 Superman, basically, if I'm not mistaken. Which I wasn't a big fan of the new 52, but
I just felt like in Batman vs Superman, there weren't a lot of characters that I would really root for. Like every scene, right? And this is kind of the same problem with David's script that I found too. Too many characters. You have cops in these scenes.
Can't relate.
This Batman, they're chasing the Batman. It's like there's no point of having those characters. Every character that I see on screen could lead to something. So in the whole Marvel films, it's like they have characters that you see once or twice, and then all of a sudden they have their own TV show or something. You know what I mean? It's like they know how to build off of those characters. And I really felt like David's scripts, both of his scripts, had way too many characters that I just really didn't care about.
Well, like in the script,
and
for
I
instance,
think DC falls into the same thing.
Well, just to kind of go back about David's script real quick. So David, he put characters from real life that he knew. And this is directly, we were talking about this last night actually. He was taking characters he knew in real life and throwing them in, and just the how they look, kind of like maybe a little bit of their demeanor. Like for instance, do you remember Pepper in the 2014 script? He was I'll bring it up right now so you can see Pepper. I don't remember the exact page he was on, but he's early on.
I think so. That must have been an early kill.
Oh no, he goes all the way. Yeah, he goes all the way to the very end. Actually, we see.
Yeah, see, I haven't read that one in a long time, but I need to go back to that one. I need to go back to that V6 too, because now I'm curious.
So when we get into this, we get to see Pepper. He comes over. It's at the bridge, I believe. I'm trying to find him real quick. They talk about him, and he talks about he's there with Bowen, right?
Do you know what page?
I'm trying to remember what page it was. Mary might know off the top of her head. She's still in chat. Mary, do you remember what page we were talking about when it came to Pepper? Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't been paying attention to the chat lately. So, what page is that again? Oh, and Greg, have you heard of Terrence and Yankee police officer involved in Oklahoma bombing? I haven't either.
No, I've only seen some of the basics, and even the basics that I've seen about that, I'm like, okay, there's something really wrong here.
The Oklahoma bombing. Are you guys talking about the Oklahoma City bombing, the one that happened with, like a while ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the 80s, I think.
Early 90s, something like this? Yeah. One that had ties to all sorts of other crazy-ass crap.
Yeah, that one seemed like a precursor to September 11th.
Right. Well, there was. I mean, especially because you got to see
there was a lot of
missing documents after that. It was just ironically this bombing happened to take care of all this information. Yeah.
I mean, we just had that latest bombing. It's like they're back to the same script.
Yeah, I think Operation Phoenix in full swing right now. So.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's just like, I don't know. You have all these bombings, all this stuff, and it's like this is what David was talking about. He was a victim of
right,
which I still can't find that much out about it. It's only what a few other people say. And Mitch Child, everything. I know he doesn't like this, whatever, but I still, when I
page 20
listen to him say, I think he's okay. Page 20.
Yeah, and what it says is the black suited surfer dude driver. You can probably get who this sounds like here. Keys off the sound can. I think this is totally. This guy Pepper is based on Mason Hendricks.
Pepper opens the door to fly.
And he does fight Daniel towards the end. I gotta go and find out. So there's 47 parts in this on page 20 or 21. Bowen, and he says this to Pepper: copy all air weapons tight, but stay frosty. 10 mics. Then to Pepper: only open route out of town. Nothing in our way. Push it. Let's move. And then there's 47 points we see, and then we see on page 22, Pepper fires a reflex burst, shattering the rear window and hitting Daniel in the leg. And this is after Winona opened the door. Pepper opens the door to fire, but Daniel empties his magazine, sending them back both into the armored MRAP doors. Pepper says, Jesus. Pepper can't activate the crow's machine gun. Page 22, page 27. In the corner of complex CrossFit gym. Of course, it's a CrossFit gym there. Bowen and Pepper do a vigorous set of inverted push-ups as the other guys count time. Bowen beats Pepper. The guys cheer. And then, of course, this is where you see this whole type of very, very much in like the alpha male type of mentality type of thing is that David's throwing out here. Bowen's ribs flash a purple bruise. He points at it, displays it to the group. Alpha male dominance. I mean, I get it. I agree with it, but, so blatant with it. He goes, see, Pepper, that's why you shoot 40 cal. Page 29, Bowen's talking down to Pepper. It says, now it's hard enough to get you tartars to all sit down in the same room at the same time to expect you to learn something. But remember, these local rubes will be looking for a suit to shoot, and they can probably outgun you, Pepper. Which they were making fun of him because he got shot.
Okay.
Yeah, so we see Pepper popping up 47 times in the script. Page 77, Daniels runs through suburban yards, over fences. Pepper and Bowen chase. I mean, he pops up. So Bowen, final trap, Bowen down for a second, but here comes Pepper. Hand-to-hand fight doesn't look good. Dan gets hurt. Pepper, see, once again, this is showing Pepper's stronger. At least he might be a better fighter than Daniel. Moves in for the kill. Sudden, awesome rescue by Jay. Knocks Pepper out. Rams SUV into something that sends him flying. But Bowen is back and can kill them both. Daniel stands to protect Jay. Page 91. Actually, hang on. Yeah, page 91. Voice in the background. You didn't tell me he was shot. Just the kiss in the outer delt. It won't slow you down. Bowen, Maston, we have to cover the banquet tonight. Pepper, step this up. Move if you have to. I got it. This is where they start to go in. Yeah, but he basically, I believe he ends up getting killed. In the end, by Daniel. So, and we know Daniel is very, very much David. I think David was writing himself into the script to some degree. He fights Pepper hand to hand, uses a chair to stop his knife. Pepper doesn't have to continue. They fight to a draw. Doesn't have to keep fighting. Daniel shakes his head no. Pepper attacks. Daniel kills him. He doesn't die easily or well. So, and the last time we see him, and that's on page 122. So, I mean, this is the thing. I see Pepper as very much. I mean, the way he even acts, it's very, very much Mason Hendricks. Okay, I think this is who that totem for this character is, if not absolutely supposed to be Pepper. So, so I think that's something to kind of consider with the timeline. But why was he thrown in there this way? I think there has to be a reason. I think the phone records are going to prove some things. I think text messages are going to prove some things. And like I said, we're going to be able to graph this out and kind of see directly how many times is this person mentioned, right? How many times is this person, were they called, were they text? And we're going to see these fluctuations. We're going to see Camilla and David. They're going to have some fluctuations. Why? Because, well, sometimes couples don't talk. I mean, via phone or anything. Why? Because they're going to see each other that night. I mean, there's times I don't even respond to my wife's texts. She'll text me when I'm at work and I'll call her, right? Or, she'll text me on my way home, and I come home and I'll sit down and talk to her then. I mean, I don't even respond sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that's absolutely normal, But there's, like I said, I'm more of a phone person. My wife knows this, so when she texts me, it's usually I call her right then. So, but I think we're going to see some fluctuations there, especially concerning. I think we're actually going to be able to piece together. Maybe there's something, when this occurred, when these issues occurred between David and Kamel. So, and I think we're going to get a lot of different things here from piecing together the phone records and the finances. We're going to get to see all sorts of things.
Looking at that same message from Kamel to David's sister, it seems like they were already getting over it.
Yeah.
Looking at the day one journal, same thing.
Right.
Whatever issues they were having, they were pretty much working through them like a couple that wanted to survive would.
Right.
They're not acting like a couple that wants to die.
Or get divorced or
their daughter or anything like
yeah.
that.
Well, other things I wanted to ask too is I'm trying to go and find this. I don't remember if we ever did get proof of this. Was there any actual proof that David got jealous at the reunion?
No.
Okay, so that's
all.
Hearsay, right?
Hearsay.
Yeah.
And it's all like, okay.
So that's. I just want to clarify. Yeah, I just want to get that clarified. As I couldn't remember if I'd seen anything like that, but yeah, like I said, I think that we're going to get to see a whole lot of stuff.
Well, actually, I think you have a very valid point, though, because I think there are some people that said that was in his journal. I think Sophia had brought that up. Maybe
it wasn't in there.
That people were saying that there were things in the journal, and we find out, wait a minute, there aren't.
Right.
Unless you guys are hiding things from the journal, it's not here.
Yeah.
And I think that's another great reason for having so many people being able to go through that journal, because there are quotes, there are things that people have said that we have on record that we need to make sure that what they say about that journal are accurate,
mm-hmm.
or are they lying?
Right.
And I think it's not going to be too hard to figure out.
And like I said, there's a lot to go through. And like I said, I think I think we're going to really see after everything is put into the timeline. Once we get the phone numbers and we can actually track who was being talked to at what days, how often they were being talked to, having things tallied up. Even we can kind of getting to see the graph. How often are these people being talked to? I think that matters. I think it really does. I think that shows. And we also got to see. We know that David didn't trust people. I'm still trying to figure out. Do you happen to know where this this forum post was? By the way, the one with Arkadin.
What is that?
Let me find the date. I'm trying to find it right now. Is it in December? I don't think it was. Maybe it was before December or earlier December. I gotta go find it real quick. It's on the timeline. So. Yeah, right here.
It's a post of his, or what is
no?
It?
So I'll just read verbatim. Okay. November 4th, 2014. There was a day one journal entry, and what was said was the Garden of Gethsemane. I just found out that's actually how it's supposed to be pronounced. Was mentioned, which was where Jesus accepted that he was about to be betrayed. That's pretty accurate portrayal of that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Username Silver Lodge asked about the status of the Gray State film on an internet forum. I don't know which internet forum this was, but at 1:33 p.m., username Arkaden, which is a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2001 or 2011 reference, okay, responded stating that the team had to give up some creative ownership, but the project was greenlit and moving forward. I need to move this down, this image, but yeah, I think David is well aware.
That was posted where?
I don't know where the internet forum is, and this was on the initial. So I think maybe Dan knows. So I'll reach out to him and see if he knows directly where it was posted.
Okay, check the other page. Justice for David Crowley of Gray State.
Okay.
It could be a comment that was left by somebody there.
Well, he said it was on an internet forum. I mean, if it was on Facebook, he was he was very clear. If it was on Facebook, he was noted it was on Facebook. So that's why I'm hoping we can find out. So I'll reach out. If you want to reach out to him, he might respond to you a little faster than you would me. But Um, we'll see. But yeah, I think this is very interesting. I mean, I think this is very, very relevant. Why is this a person with a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 name? It's not a character. It's a place. It's a German like mall, I believe it is, or something like this, in the game. I believe it's an actual German mall by the name of Arcade. I believe I'm not mistaken. But this is
so wait. So you have two people. You have Silver Lodge, and then you have
Arcaden.
Arcaden Responding. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because they seem to have this knowledge of what's going on. So who's Arcaden? You see what I'm saying? It's very fascinating. And the thing is, we know David liked Call of Duty, so this very well could be David. But I would like to know the internet for him because I can actually research this. I can go and dig and dig and dig. Somebody's got a username. I can dig a lot more than they think I can dig. So the other group thinks they can dig. Jokes.
That may be on these really should be 3 separate sentences here. Okay, so I think that's probably a Facebook thing. So have you looked at his stuff from November 4th? Facebook.
I don't think I have. Let me take a look.
See, the whole thing about what's crazy about the Facebook is there's a lot of stuff that's gone now too.
Right.
Which is weird. Like there shouldn't be anything gone because there's other social media things David has. No issues there, but there's some clear questionable posts that David was engaged with, on Facebook. That was why when we got the Facebook stuff, and we have all of that stuff, but what we have, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting stuff there.
Let's see.
But that could have just been that. Okay, so that should have either been on David's page.
Actually, hang on a sec. The newest one was November 9th. What date are we on right now? That was the newest post they made. So we're on November 4th. So okay, November 4th. That should have been a
Facebook post. That should have been one of his
I'm
Facebook
taking a look.
posts because his Twitter was linked into it.
Yeah, there's nothing there. I like I said. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, the thing is like
David had a couple though. He had like 3 Facebook. I know, like there's 2 that are gone. I can't find them now because I recently looked, but he had 3 different ones. If not more.
Right.
Several Facebook accounts, and I can only find one now that has nothing there.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean that's what I'm saying. I think. I mean, me personally, I think. I do think that this was definitely on something. I mean, my guts tell me this was on something other than Facebook because if it was on Facebook, like I said, I mean, he's Dan had he was very, very clear about when something was on Facebook, he would mention it was on Facebook, and if it was on a specific page, it was on this page. I mean, I very well, like I said, I very well could be wrong, and that's totally cool if I am. I'm totally cool with that, but that's the one thing I do remember very, very clearly is he was. Let me bring it up real quick. Right here. And keep in mind, I just edited for a lot of grammatical errors. That's all I really did. Like there should be a period here too, but
no, I know. I mean, this is you going down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah. So he says right here, Dan Jr. posted a comment on his Facebook wall. So I mean, he's very, very clear about where these things are at, about how easy it is to watch gruesome deaths on television. Right. This post is later removed. Kamel posted her final entry on her business Facebook page. See, Kamel tweeted. I mean,
David was part of a forum, though. He was part of a military forum. I don't know how long he was, but that is in one of the documents. I don't know if you've gone through that, but there is a lot of his Facebook posts that has all of that in there. To make sure you have that one.
Let's take a look. So I just went and did this real quick so we can actually just take a look. And this is just going to search for these 2 things. There's no other pages.
Yeah, no, he was part of a group, so it wouldn't show. You would have to find the group if the group still exists.
Yeah. But I just found that very, very fascinating because now, I mean, he's making it known that, okay, that this is done on an internet forum. Well, I'm curious about the internet forum. And hopefully, because he did, he did this, we can get a screenshot of that, hopefully. If he took one, I'm hoping he did. Because then I can add this in and we can kind of go from there. But, like I said, there was a lot going on with this that it was just like, it was kind of very, very weird. Why is this occurring? Not to mention, we also got to see all sorts of different kinds of things. Like, for instance, October 19th, this is another journal entry I found very fascinating. He discussed his view of the Christian root problem and referenced the Christian rock band Sanctus Real. I don't think a lot of people were really catching this, especially the other group, of course. But and then basically what he has to say is, what he posted rather. It's a quote, I believe, from one of their songs. I don't want to be part of the resistance. I want to be part of the release.
Right.
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 So I think
It's
there's
a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember, at that time, man, we were all being tricked. Like, the whole "we are change" thing, like, all of that stuff. There were so many different things that it was like we were just supposed to just fall into these groups and stuff like that. And it really seemed like David was on top of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was... Honestly, I think he was a lot more well-informed than even I initially thought. I know, I would still argue he's not as well-informed as, one would hope when looking at this kind of stuff. But I think he was more well-informed than I was initially taking him for. Because I thought he was just basically, he was doing some research. We got to see this through his search history. We know that his search history is very, very focused on his 2014 script. And I'll show actually why that is real quick before we get off the stream. But, like, for instance, so we got December 18th when we get to start seeing his search history, right? Now, I think it's real dark. Real dark. We get to see early in the morning, December 18th, 8:51. He checks out a Google YouTube notification, most likely, but it's a Google Plus, some kind of a notification, I believe is what it was stating when I looked at it. I had to break down the code and actually go and check things out and all this. I did that on every single bit of this thing, so I know for a fact there were some things that weren't popping up, some that were. And then we got at about an hour later, he checks out the Gray State Facebook page. He was checking out his bookmarks there. And then 7:48 p.m., he checked out Reboot Your Life, 20 Mental Barriers You Should Let Go Of. Didn't go any farther than that. 10:16 p.m., he checks out the Stalin executions on a Yahoo video search. And then he looks at mass execution of Soviet Russia, another Yahoo video search. At 10:21, he downloads the video. So that's what KeepVid is. And then he goes back to the mass execution of Soviet Russia. Once again, makes sense. It's all within that time frame. It probably got loaded up, or it just kind of went right back to that screen. And then he goes to 10:21. He goes to YouTube, and he does a YouTube search for Stalin executions. And this is just a search, right? And then so his result pops up, and he ends up clicking on the Katyn Forest Massacre, the Soviet Union NKVD, Secret Police, Joseph Stalin YouTube video. What's he do with that? He downloads it with KeepVid. Goes right back to the thing. We see this is a consistent thing. If he's going to download a video, he goes right back to it, right? And then he goes and clicks on another one. 21,768 murdered in the Katyn Massacre by the Soviet NKVD. April 1940, Joseph Stalin. Lavrenti Beria, once again, he's somebody to look up. I think there was some influence, if I'm being honest, with this Lavrenti Beria to maybe a character or two in both of his scripts, put it that way. And then he looks up at 10:36. He looks up Osama bin Laden death. 10:36 again. He looks at. He goes and he types in. This is his Google search. When was the death of bin Laden announced? So he's looking into this whole Iraq war thing. Now, why is he looking at that? Well, we know all of this has to do with his script. All of this does. Not only is he looking at the Soviet Union, well, what do we got from that? Well, we got what was going on in World War II. We got to see Yuri, Yurik Wasik, or that Wasik guy. This guy was around during World War II. I believe he was like a survivor of it or some crap. It was something along these lines. We find that he's a bad guy. Well, what was he looking up? World War II. All this. And he goes into NATO and Iraq war, goes through uranium and NATO in the 2003 campaign against Iraq, and he goes and gets into uranium 238. Goes from there, depleted uranium, gets the actual Wikipedia about it, looks at it, and then he goes into the soldiers throwing metals at NATO. And then he goes to an article at democracynow.org, no NATO, no war, U.S. veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan return war medals at NATO summit. Like I said, everything on his search history just proved he was just looking at his, he was just working on his script. And I think this was what was done and was left on his computer. I think this is my running theory right now. This is a script that never actually made it to the mics. The version 6 is the one that did not make it. So, and the reason being because you can see a lot of this kind of stuff. You get this whole vibe. White House down. You get the Act of Valor, Black Hawk Down. You get all this. I mean, Act of Valor looked like he was just using that for basically like how he was treating the regular like characters like that Daniel was working with. Like when they would go in, they were like fighting against the bad guys. This is how they were operating. Was Act of Valor, and those are all like a lot of them, from what I understood, were all service members like who actually acted this entire thing out. So really, really cool. Then we got Black Hawk Down. He's looking at all sorts of different things. I think he was this whole emotional soldier funeral. I think a lot of this kind of stuff had to do with, like he was really struggling with everything he had to do over in Iraq. I think that had something to do with some of this stuff. But I also think that this also had to do with his script as well. Because once again, what's he look up? New tapes reveal 9/11 horror. Is this real? Then he goes right into another one. Soldier dies. Little brother, sister, mother, dad sing Beach Boys Dylan reference. I mean, I think this has everything to do with the script. Every single thing here. Again, I think there's little bits that kind of have to deal with kind of what he was dealing with himself as a soldier. But then, of course, you get to see what is he doing. He's also working on his, he's going to Wells Fargo. Goes to Craigslist looking for silver. He's not looking for gold either, which is interesting. I mean, I get why, though. I totally get it. But he's looking at things. He's trying to go and prep. He wants to prep everything as he feels something's coming. Once again, he wasn't wrong. Finding happiness through suffering, 8 ways to find light in the darkness, 16 ideas for raising your consciousness, cracking the code and fooling nature, and Oscar winners. This isn't a guy who was trying to go, who was going to commit suicide. Why is he looking at the Gadsden flag? I mean, granted, the Gadsden himself was kind of it was the time, so I'm not going to even try and make up, some kind of a excuse for the guy. I mean, there was the times, but that he was kind of a bastard too, but he was a war hero. So,
yeah, it sounds like he's prepping. He's prepping for his move to Hollywood, to all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Kamel, this is when she's getting rid of her business Facebook page and all this. She's getting rid of that. She's trying to find out how to get rid of it. We know why she was trying to get rid of that. She wanted to go write a book. She was going to go and that was going to be continued on when they moved to California and all this. Why is he looking at the influence? For crying out loud, this guy really wanted to kill himself. Why the hell is he looking at the influence Vedic philosophy had on Nikola Tesla's idea of free energy?
Yeah, he wouldn't be looking at any of
this
stuff. No.
I mean, maybe when he was looking at the realistic cartoon characters, it'll change his childhood. I mean, but really. But then it's funny because then after we see, and this is 30 minutes after Kamel is trying to do something with her page. Danny August Mason's Facebook profile is brought up. And then they're doing a page refresh, what it looks like. And then what's he do? Get this. He goes to the Gray State Facebook page and he goes to the bookmarks, right? That's like 3 hours later. There was something he was doing along with the Danny August Mason thing. Was he getting the next day? I believe this is next day. Yep, here it is. At 7:54 a.m., Gray State Facebook page, goes to the bookmarks again. Goes to his David Crowley Facebook page. This is his director page, right? And then I don't remember what the whole deal was there, but then he gets into at 8:06 a.m., Gray State The Rise Facebook group. Privacy changes. Okay? Then you got at 7:34 p.m., almost 7:35. He goes to the Facebook group, and he goes to the group member list, specifically on Danny August Mason. Okay, now get this. See, like I said, he's going privacy changes, and then all of a sudden he's changing group activity. He's doing something, Danny August Mason, to kick him out, I think. And then right after that, you're looking at he's looking at Prince of Darkness, and he gets into the paranormal psychology.files.wordpress.com, which once again it was an image. That's all he was looking at is the image.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that Danny Mason still has access to that page.
Right. So, I think he may have access, but I think he changed. I mean, once again, at that time, he probably changed it so he didn't have much access to it. He may be able to see.
Been prepping for something.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's what I think was going on here, because then everything you see when he's searching, I think he's just trying to keep an eye on things. And once again, he's listening to music throughout some of this. But then, he gets in on the 24th. You're seeing he's looking at all sorts of different kinds of things. Once again, I don't think these are, strange. 20 things dog owners do that cause their dogs to misbehave. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Well, that's why when you see it in this context that you're putting it in,
Yeah. I mean, that's the point of this, is we get to see for the most part, we get to see how David was acting, what he was looking into, right? You can tell quite a few things about what somebody's looking into. You can kind of tell what their, the motives were, really. Why were they looking into this? And why do you look into Napoleon Hill? Well, you look into Napoleon Hill, look up his quotes. I mean, he's a philosopher, right? So he had some things he had to do there. Then, of course, is the weird things. 4 hours later, he's up at 1 o'clock in the morning on 24th. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, just about, he's up looking that up. And then he goes 4 hours later, or 3 hours, or 3.5 hours later, Gray State, the Rise of the Facebook group, and he does something with group activity again. I think there's something there. I really do. He's looking into things like 12 stars, woman with 12 stars, and he looks up the Spartan Fidelity. Where's this coming from lyrics? And this is where we see Sean Wright post a photo of the Christmas tree and gifts. I find that very interesting. Brett Malaysaw figure. You get to see that he's now at the following day on the 24th, on the same day actually, 24th, continued. He looks into Justin Kinney. Right? And then 6 minutes after he looks into Justin Kinney, sexual healing. Why is he looking at sexual healing, right? And then he gets into that. He looks at the Wikipedia for it, and then so I think Justin Kinney might have sent him a message, and I think he just probably clicked on this link. I think Justin Kinney might have been talking to him about something with his wife. Maybe Dave, helping him along with his wife. Maybe there's some issue there, right? There could have been. And then he looks up sexual healing on Google, and he runs into it on The Guardian, on their lifestyle page, little blogs. And then he looks to the specific one. My girlfriend and I are still virgins after being together for more than a year. Okay, I read the article. It's fascinating, actually. It's a little weird, but at the same time, it's also like, okay, why are we looking at this, pal? And then this is the last time we actually get to see him actually. From what I gathered, I got to go and still put it together, but I believe this is the last time he actually officially talked to Adam Chambord. And this is that night. This goes from 10:05 to 10:39. He starts off by looking up Badr, which is a terrorist organization, just to show you. The Badr organization. Okay. They're the Badr Brigades, Badr Corps, the Iraqi Shia Islamist political party and military organization headed by Hadi al-Amiri. It was the Iran officer military wing of the Iran-based Shia Islamic Party, Supreme Council for Islamic Revolution in Iraq.
It's a place in Saudi Arabia too, right?
Well, he was just looking at Badr, Iraq, so. But military action against ISIL, for instance. Okay, keep this in mind. This is before David. Following ISIL's successful Anbar campaign and June 2014 offensive, the Badr organization mobilized and won a series of battles against ISIL. Okay, these guys were people against ISIS, including the liberation of Jurf al-Sakr, or Sak, or whatever it is, and the lifting of the siege of Amirli. In early 2015, the group operating from its base. Okay, so I mean, this is before he died. And so he's looking at these guys. I find it fascinating. I thought they were a terrorist organization, but I was apparently incorrect. But they were they're in Iraq, but they're Iranian officered military wing trying to basically, I guess in their eyes, save Iraq.
Yeah.
So
that's weird that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I may have actually interviewed a friend who served over there who may have dealt with them. I'll have to go back and look at that. But yeah, there is a group of Iranians in Iraq that kind of have their own area, and they all have to. I think they run like a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola plant, which is weird, right? There's some weird things there, but when we took over them, yeah, I'll be curious. I think I need to look more into that, but obviously David was. There's something there.
Yeah, no, David definitely felt like there was. There had to have been. But the thing is, the rest of his search history is, this is where you get in the December 25th, and, this is where he looks up Aleister Crowley. Well, thing is, now this other group, okay, we all know the other group, they decided to go on, oh, this is what it means. They tried to basically put it out there. He looked up an Aleister Crowley exposed YouTube video. That wasn't a YouTube video. It was actually Jesus-is-savior.com. It wasn't even a video.
Right, which is a pro-Christian website that pretty much explains why Aleister Crowley is full of crap.
Exactly. And these are things he was trying to go and basically prove, and we see this. Now, why do you look up on Christmas at 9:42 p.m. top 5 things you didn't know about Christmas and probably should? You look at it, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. He's checking his email and all this. Once again, these are things...
He's a researcher.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He was researching things. And once again, this is what I'm saying. I don't think any of this makes any sense. This entire narrative. The search history, this proves a lot, in my opinion. Especially when you combine it with the timeline. You get to see a whole different level of things that these police officers, these detectives should have been looking at. Obviously, we're too incompetent to look at. And I will continually badmouth them because, well...
Well, they didn't have that until later, though, too. Remember how long it took them to get this stuff that you're looking at here. I think the way that you break it down here, easy for people to understand.
Sure,
If they don't see this, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's like, if you're not seeing everything here, it's like, well, are you blind? Are you blind? I had that question. You need Jesus in your life, sir. He will fix your blindness.
Which we all do.
Exactly, I agree. No, we do. We absolutely do. I think even more now than ever, Best time to go look into everything. But I won't keep it too much longer. I just really wanted to go and really go over some of this. This is very, very interesting things going along. And like I said, the script, none of that's going to go and pop up, of course, unless I can find the exact dates when things are created and things like this. They're not going to pop up in here, right? But they're going to be...
No, but we do know that the Michael Entertainment Group, they were sent a script, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's curious. They were kind of waiting for David to send them something, like a treatment to a TV series, and right. They never heard from him. So getting whatever David's last script was, whatever his last vision was, whatever his last treatment was, that would be, that would be key.
Right. And that's why I'm thinking once we can get, like I said, as I keep mentioning, once we get the whole video of, or not the video, but the, we're going to have to definitely talk because I got some more things I want to go and run by you. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk here pretty soon. Hopefully like tomorrow or Tuesday, something, whenever we get a chance. But when we can get the phone records, I think that's going to go and combine with this. This is going to go and open a lot of different things. Then once we get the financial records, I really, really want to get Dan on this one. I really do. He would be declared an expert on this anyways. Why? He's actually an accountant. He'd be able to actually describe a lot of these different things and what some of these things mean and all this. I can only do so much. If I sat down on it for hours on each thing, I might be able to go and pull up the same thing he'd be able to just look at and do. So, but I don't want to spend hours. So I'm going to go and see if I can get Dan on this. And I don't know how extensively Dan's actually looked at the finances. 'Cause I haven't really seen him actually working on this case a whole lot lately. So,
yeah, I think most of the stuff he's already gone through. We probably went through it years ago, maybe a couple years ago. So
Yeah.
But yeah, he has looked at.
So that's why I'm hoping we can go
Definitely.
and clear some things up. Is then, it's like I said, once we can get this case solved, then we move on to the next case, right? We move on and we want to go and get to the next case and go, keep things going, right? I think that's kind of the goal. I mean, at least for me, it is. I want to be able to go and
my goal with this case, man, is still to
seek justice for him.
get
He
it
needs.
reopened.
Yep.
Yeah, to get some justice.
Yep.
But I mean, that's not going to happen unless we can actually reopen this case. That's I didn't think it would be this difficult, but
Oh, I mean, like I said, I think
that's where we are.
not to toot my own horn, but I really do feel like I do feel like the timeline is going to be key to getting this thing open. I really do, because this blatantly shows everything. And
I mean, I would like to see you do a whole book on this timeline. I think something like this, that's really broken down, man. It could be a big research, like
yeah,
textbook research document.
I mean, it's definitely worth thinking about for sure. I mean, I'm more about, obviously we all know I'm a little more on like the video and that type of media, but I mean, I do see the point.
I mean, you already have 30 pages here, and that's just in this.
Right.
I'm sure.
You can just show this off. Here's a PDF. Let's make it into a book.
There's pretty. That it's just the more that people have access to this stuff.
Right. And that's the thing is, I'm trying to get more images and things like this so we can actually get proof of everything that's being said, so we have actual documentation on everything too. So, but like I said, I think this entire thing, I think the rise was more kind of his little gift to the world of kind of opening their eyes to kind of what's going on, so they can get ready to watch Gray State, and go with that. And I honestly do feel what David was saying about Gray State. He wanted to just move past it. He was ready to move on to the next project. He didn't want anything to do with the rest of his Gray State team because he found them pretty much incompetent. Like, he was having to do everything on his own. If any kind of mistake they made, he had to fix. Just based on what he had to say. But like I said, we're gonna. I think this is. I was very. I think I told you earlier this year, actually, either this year or next is going to be the year or the time we actually get this thing reopened, or at least we have it completed. Like, we've got everything. And we can show that David is innocent. Or at least we can show that he's not guilty. Very, very, and we can already do that for the most part. But I think we can actually I think we're going to be to the point where we know he's innocent.
I think we've been doing that. I think we've been doing that for 6-7 years. And really, I think we're going to keep doing that until we can actually force them to reopen this case.
And that's what I'm hoping we can do this year next.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not trying to toot my own horn there, but that's, taking what Dan did with the timeline, I think that was actually key. I was not even thinking about timeline and saw his, and I was like, I want to make this look, a little bit better, because, the way this is reading, this is kind of a tough one to read. And then once again, I went to school for this, so, it makes sense that I'm like, let me go and make this a fashionable.
Yeah, we just need, and that's really it, it's not about us, it's just about, let's, make this best that we can.
Right.
Just keep it out there, man, because people are looking, we have so many new people, and I'm not sure what to believe, what is true, etc. So giving them a timeline has always helped.
Right.
That's a big start.
It is. So, but I'll probably be taking up on the offer for the whole. Maybe I should just write a book thing. Maybe I should just do that.
I think you should, man. I really, just looking at this here, I'm like, man, if you, there's a lot more, and just, I think you'll have enough.
Oh yeah, dude, I'll have enough. I will have enough. I can guarantee you. Especially because with everything that we got in the video, and all this. Oh, one other thing I forgot to go and ask. Your thoughts, real quick. This is from Mary. What are your thoughts on item 53's placement, like where that was at?
Where it was at. So
yes.
53, we don't really know where that was at, because all that we know is that it rolled out of a carpet in the living room. So it was somewhere in that living room carpet.
Right.
That's all that we really know about 53. Now, 53, if it's tied to Rania, which it is, but there's other DNA on it too, right? So it's not just like Rania's DNA is on that. There's somebody else's DNA, and it's not David's, and it's not Kamel's. There's a missing DNA. You find that with two separate things here in this case. So just looking at the DNA, there's someone else here at this crime scene.
Yep.
So I mean, that's basically it. I mean, that's what I see. I mean, and like, how did they miss if item 53 rolled out of the carpet? How did the police miss this?
Right.
If they cleared that carpet, how could they miss that?
Very true.
I wish I had more, but that's it for now. It's just questions, you know.
Yep.
I mean, I don't have the answers. I really wish that I did, and I can speculate, but it's not going to help us get to what the answer is. You know, so.
Yeah, we'll get to it eventually, I'm sure.
But I mean, what we know for sure is that this bullet had Rhonda's DNA, her blood, on it, and it had somebody else's DNA or / blood on it.
Now, quick question on that. Did they describe, I don't remember this, and I would just want to bring this up just because I know that this one person brought it up. I never saw this lady's post. Do you remember Christina Jarvis by chance?
I don't know, sorry.
Okay, so she was in the Facebook group, and apparently she's not there anymore. Apparently she got blocked. She's claiming you blocked her. I'm just saying, that's what she said on the other page.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I don't really care either way because she is wrong on so much. And but she brought up this whole thing about DNA and all this, and apparently, let me bring up the whole conversation real quick. She brought up this. It was a conversation where you chimed in a little bit.
Okay.
I never seen it. That's the thing. So I just saw the screen capture she was throwing in. Let's see. I'm trying to find this part. She looks like she's trying to cause trouble, if I'm being honest, though. So,
Well, and it was about item 53, or?
So let me bring it up. So, it was about just DNA in general.
Okay.
She said she brought that up on the page. She said, "So I'm quoting,
missing, like who the missing DNA belonged to, or?"
Well, I'll just verbatim what she says real quick, and this is on September 3rd at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and quote, "So I posted some evidence and proof over in the Justice group proving the bullet contained David's DNA and where DNA comes from. Because it's heavily said it didn't have blood, it had a little bit of DNA. Well, you can't just have a little bit of DNA. You can have trace DNA, touch DNA. However, the report would state if it was. So I asked the question, where does DNA come from? What produces DNA? All is silent." I mean, I understand why it was silent, right? I totally get it. Well, you can do the research yourself, can't you? I'm trying to find the other thing she said because she brought up you specifically. So I know she's going off on a tangent about you. I'm just figured I'd bring that up while I got you. Okay, here it is. Okay. So, says September 3rd at 9:54 a.m. Hoping both of them see this. Well, this is what happens when they don't, and that's all caps, of course. She had to do that. Want to answer questions. Grow up, Greg and Catherine, and seriously, you want a debate? I will do a live debate with both of you. You totally should, and just destroy her. It'd be great. Your narrative is absolute nonsense. You cannot get touch DNA from a closed bullet cartridge, and the fact that you couldn't answer that question of what. This is at Christina Jarvis. That's what I'm saying. She shows that she was her posters or the poster been removed, and then she's got an exclamation point by her name. So I believe.
And she wants to debate about what?
I think about basically everything. I think she's trying to pull a Judy. So, let's see.
And she has evidence that David is guilty?
Oh, she's a firm believer in the pack theory. Keep that in mind.
Okay, so she doesn't have evidence.
Exactly.
Why would I debate anyone who doesn't have evidence?
Well, exactly. Then you could just shut her down and be like, well, where's your proof evidence, please?
She's already lost. I mean,
Exactly.
you can't even challenge me. You can't challenge me unless you have something
Right.
to prove to the crowd.
Exactly.
Don't even challenge me because you've already lost.
Well, and I know their whole counter argument is, as I've seen it a few times, Pierce himself has actually came out and said, they want to debate with...
They didn't show up to their own.
Oh, I know. They won't. I know.
Catherine said it. They didn't even show up.
Oh, I know. And she's trying to call people out and saying she's saying she'll do it middle of the night. But let me bring it up real quick.
I mean, here's all you have to do: prove David Crowley is guilty, and I will. Sure.
Well, and we all know what their counter argument is too. Their whole thing is, well, prove he's innocent.
Can they put the gun in David's hand?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody, we
can't. We
can't put it in his hand. We can prove it.
Yes, I'll be happy to debate you anywhere, anytime. Put the gun in his hand first.
Oh, she did talk. Oh, she was the person who talked about rapture with you, and she was saying it was a non-Christian belief. Yeah. Okay. Good call on that, Mary. Good call on that.
Yes. Okay. Rapture. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
you have a nickname for it, Rapture.
I had a whole thing about the Rapture. There was another lady in that I had a really good chat with. I was kind of short with her, but she was very kind, and I felt like I think her name was Debbie or something. We came to a really good understanding. It's like, and she actually taught me something. I was like, wow, yeah, she's actually right. Like, all of the churches that I don't go to now, that I would never go to now, they talked about rapture in that way. Like the churches, the more, I hate to say, the more positive churches that I've been to, they never really talked about that. I mean, we always knew it, and they're talking about the same. They're talking about the second coming of Christ, but they didn't call it rapture. It wasn't called rapture. But at some of the churches that I've been to, where they've spoken in tongues, and there were some questionable things that I didn't like, they called it rapture.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean,
but she's saying some other.
But Debbie was right, because she was saying no, she's never been to a church that really talked about that, and she was right. Rapture is not mentioned in the Bible, and I told her, well, if it's not mentioned in the Bible, it's not really important to me. It's not something that I'm going to focus on.
Well, so I want to go and kind of continue what she was saying real quick, because it's really, really interesting. She say you cannot get touch DNA from a closed bullet cartridge, and the fact you couldn't answer that question of what DNA you believe is on it. Be prepared, my dears. Videos to make your narrative and your absolute childness are coming, and I can guarantee I have a lot more skill set than both of you combined. Oh, she's laughable. You couldn't answer. This is Christina Jarvis. You couldn't answer my questions, so your only option is to block me.
Which question?
She said about of what DNA you believe is on it, on the 53, I believe it is, or I don't know, or the one that killed. I don't know. I don't know. I can tell you what comment it was on.
I mean, that's in the DNA record. Just read the DNA record.
Right.
You can see.
But I'll just finish what she says, and I'll kind of tell you directly where this is at. Well, at least as far as I know. Be prepared. Let's see. I can guarantee I have a lot more skills than both of you combined. You couldn't answer my questions. Your only option is to block me. You're the ones making this out to be what it's not, and you should be absolutely ashamed of it as adults. The fact you think you know more than the FBI or police. Because they looked at that. I laughed at this too.
Because they proved David guilty? Is that what she's saying? That the police and everybody proved David guilty, but they can't?
Right.
That's why nobody will ever debate me on this stuff, because they can't prove David Crowley guilty.
Well, it's true. I mean, nobody can. I mean,
Nobody can?
Nobody can play devil's advocate on this, because really there's no way David was guilty on this. Because once again, all we have to really go to, you only need one thing. Bullet trajectory doesn't line up, and there's also, where's the blood? That's all we need to say every time. And what happens? It's not there. They can't even. They'll try to say, "Oh, well, it's in the carpet." They flip the carpet over. There would be blood from David. There's none. You want to go and bring that up? Well, then
No.
fine. Well, what about the bloody footprint? Well, David's feet were clean, completely clean. How is that possible then? He's missing a hand. I mean, bullet casings, where those are at versus, there's all sorts of different things. We can look at this, and it doesn't make any sense.
There's nothing that shows that he's guilty. There's nothing that puts a gun in his hand. There's nothing that ties
Exactly.
him to
And
any of those bullets.
it's
As far as blood, there's so many different things that it's just like, wait a minute, like, what is your guys' motive here? Like, you guys know this.
well, and this
If
is
you
how I
read
see it.
The documents.
This is why we don't actually have to prove anything, because he's innocent until proven
It's
guilty.
Exactly.
Bingo.
It's already there. It's like, wait a minute. So
We're already on the winning side already. Doesn't make a difference.
have a bias against David?
Oh, they
Do
totally
not
do.
like David?
They totally
why
do.
Why would they ever start out that David is guilty?
Well,
Unless
I
you
mean,
have a bias.
exactly. But they also go on to say, it seems like both of you are attention seekers, want a true debate. Now, this is where she calls you out. Anytime you want is good for me. Middle of the night, game on. You want to go there? Trust me, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good on you. The constant harassment friends and family got, and they still didn't sue you. But please continue with tour. No, yeah, you can't spell, lady. Your narrative and videos that have
Tom Lydon.
your narrative and videos.
Constantly harassing. Well,
Right.
the family. Frankly, they're scared to speak out because they don't want to be.
See,
harassed.
this is the part I wanted you to hear
What are
right
guys
here.
talking about, dude? Either David Crowley is
Right.
guilty or he's not.
So
Why
the,
don't you just show us the evidence that he's guilty, or else just sit down and shut the F up.
well, see, and this is how I see
and
it. So,
let us do what we're doing.
Right.
Because you're not going to stand in our way. Unless you have the evidence that
Right.
David Crowley is guilty, sit down, shut the F up.
right.
We're on a roll here. We're not going to be stopped. That's life.
We're gonna get
That's
this
how it
case
is.
reopened. That's what we're gonna
We're
do.
going to get this case reopened.
But so this
Guys,
is the
if
part
you're
she's
shaking in your boots, you damn well should be.
so.
Because this case is going to be reopened.
Oh hell yes.
If you, any debate or anything like that is only going to help our cause because
Bingo.
it's going to show more people. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, these guys claim David Crowley is guilty, but they can't back it up.
Well, exactly. No, this is the one thing. This is where she takes it real serious. And keep this in mind. This is a lady that just recently sued the federal government because she didn't get her money or whatever from the state. Her stimulus or whatever. Okay, so she sued them and won. Well, that's a stimulus case. What are you? This isn't the same thing. But she goes on like she thinks she's hot shit right now. She goes, but continue with your narrative and videos that have other people's names in your mouths. I will personally make sure that it's dealt with in a court of law, and that's a promise. I looked at that and laughed. I was like, what?
Right? What? She's going to make sure that David was proven guilty? Or?
No, she wants to go after you guys. Is what it sounds like to me. She wants to
after us because
you guys use somebody
she
else's
can't
names.
Because what?
Because you use other people's names in your mouths, and you guys were spouting a quote-unquote narrative and videos that were basically making people look bad. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, she needs to learn a little bit about the, what was it, the First Amendment.
We're just showing what the documents say.
Right.
We're only going on that, what other people say. So,
Exactly.
the documents clearly show,
Right.
there's nothing that shows David Crowley is guilty. If
Exactly.
somebody wants to debate me on that, show me in the documents where it shows that he's guilty. I will gladly debate you after that.
Right. And that's the thing is there's not a single place. Well, keep in mind this is I'm just gonna be honest. This is the lady that I was telling you about that. The person that was comparing the left
I
foot.
have to look up who this person is. I'm sorry.
Quote unquote, you're blocked. That she's blocked by you. So if she's truly blocked by you, then
Okay.
But
I'll go look at the people that I've blocked in
Right.
the last month.
if you can screenshot it, I will even show it so the world can see you didn't block her if she's not on there. If you'd like.
No, I don't know. It's possible that I've
Well, you block trolls. I get that.
Yeah, a lot of trolls or block spammers. There are
Right.
people that go onto my YouTube channel and you just try to post spam or weird links and stuff like that. So,
Right.
yeah, if you're posting that, but I mean, if you're, this is someone that has posted on my YouTube channel or posted into the group too. I mean,
She said you were.
group we have-
She was bragging about being blocked by it. Is all I know. She was saying that you.
Okay, all right.
She was bragging about it because they have a group over there that brags that they've been blocked by Greg. Whoa! It's like, oh Jesus!
join the Blocked by Greg group. Cool. That's my fan club.
It is.
Right?
It
That's my
is.
fan club. All right, cool. So I have a new member to my fan club. That's what you're saying.
Very accurate. Very accurate. But yeah, so it's. But this is the person that was trying to say she was comparing the left foot to the right bloody footprint. She was comparing those and saying they're the same foot. No, they're not. They're 2 different feet. Come on. And then she goes on and she's trying to prove this hard. I'm like, it doesn't work. I'm sorry. So, yeah, it's interesting.
That's cool. I mean, that's what's great about this country.
Right.
It's freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, as long as you are not
Every person.
actively seeking violence against somebody, you are free to say what you want.
I mean, you are. Yeah, that's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and then she's
of speech. If
well,
I don't want to hear from you, I'll definitely make sure that I don't.
right. I mean, they try to go on, and they're trying to go on with all sorts of different things. Like I said, I mean, I'm even finding it weird that I'm getting followed by specific people on my TikTok that are from this group. So I find it kind of weird. I mean, I'm like, hey, great, I have a follower. Thank you.
Awesome.
Another person to add to my fan club. But I mean, like I said, I've been calling these guys out now for I think 2 weeks now. Literally, because they're, once again, I'm curious. Why do they keep focusing on you guys? I mean, I'm literally spouting a lot of the same things you guys are. In some cases, I mean, we might, in areas where we disagree, still not talking about David being innocent, or not innocent, but being guilty. There's nothing there to show that he's guilty. So
their biggest beef is that
it's just they're just trying to go and get on your guys'. I think they're just trying to get on your guys' radar again. I think they're very angry about it. Like, why won't Greg and Catherine talk about me? Why won't I just want their attention? I think that's what's going on. So, yeah, crybabies.
I mean, I'm not seeing any reason why we would talk about them. The case is not about them. It's
No.
not about us. The case is about, is David Crowley guilty? Is he innocent? What proves him guilty? What proves him innocent? Those are the facts that nobody can debate me on.
Right.
That's why to even challenge me, you better have some strong facts. You better have something. Come with some facts. Come with some real data, some real stuff. Look at the documents.
Oh,
I've
holy
read
crap.
All of the documents that
Mhm.
we've had so far. Okay? If there's documents that I haven't read that show David Crowley is guilty, those documents would have been included in the police reports. Their police reports are very, very clear.
Right.
So you would have to debate the APD before you even thought about debating me.
Right.
Their documents tell you everything. So you're not debating me, even though you want to. You're really debating what the official theory says and what it's based on.
Right.
That's what you're really challenging, right? Because they're not even talking about the stuff that some of this other stuff that you brought up there. They're not even mentioning that. They don't care about the rapture stuff.
No, they
They don't
don't.
care about any of that stuff. They are saying we believe, quote unquote, we believe, not we know.
Yeah.
Here's what they believe. Okay, great. You can believe whatever they believe. Here's what I know. You cannot debate what I know because it's based on those documents.
Well, I mean,
That's all that I know about this
Right.
case.
And end of the day, I mean, when it comes down to this, first things first, we already know. This is how it breaks down every single time. When they want to try and go and I say anything, they have that. We believe. Well, end of the day, just because you believe something doesn't make anybody guilty, right? Just because you believe something.
Right.
Once again, what happened with, let's say, the Russian dossier, right? Not to get all too political, but what was that proven? Oh, false, that's right.
Well, I
Didn't
mean,
happen.
anybody that says that David Crowley is guilty obviously does not believe that every person in this country, in the greatest country ever,
Right.
that you are innocent until proven guilty.
No.
Here is the big question. Do you believe that in this great country that you are innocent until proven guilty? If you don't believe that, then you would challenge me to a debate.
Right.
And de facto, you've already lost.
Yes.
By just doing that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
They can
I
answer
don't
that
know
one
why
question.
people don't get that. I don't know why they don't understand that.
That's the only question
You
they
can
actually get.
challenge me. You've already lost.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's literally where this goes. Anybody that's on the side of David is innocent, right? Which I would say there's more people probably believing he's innocent, right? I believe that's very, very
I mean, that's
obvious.
their choice. You know, there's
Sure.
people. Hey, man, if you don't want to believe that he's, and you know, I have to tell you, I've talked with many people, honest people, great people, people that I consider friends. That, you know, they look at this stuff and they're like, you know what? I hear what you're saying. I don't believe that. You know, I still think that David did this. You know, I talk to people about John F. Kennedy. I hear what you're saying, Greg. I don't believe that there's a conspiracy, September 11th, et cetera, et cetera. So I've come to the understanding that that's great. You don't have to believe it. But if you're going to challenge me
right
on facts...
Yep, it's just like an opinion. An opinion does not outweigh a fact. It never will, never has. It's how it is.
And that's what I learned, you know, after watching Tom Biden's report about this case. That was it. It's like, this is the stamp where he's saying, look, we don't know. We believe. You know, we think. It was never about facts. All of that stuff. But yet, some people, they want to believe it. That's fine. You know, it's the whole X-Files thing. I want to believe.
Right.
Well, if you want to believe whatever you want to believe, then do it.
That's the great thing about living here.
Your freedom. But you know what? Don't challenge me to something that you have no idea what you're getting into.
Well, I mean,
I have the facts. We have the facts.
Well, exactly.
It's not like I have them. We all have them.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when it comes down to it, it's there's so much with this case. It's just like, you know, I don't understand how people don't see it. And the thing is, it's literally those people. These are the same. This is how I put it. And this is how I've been trying to go and direct it. I ask a very similar question: is Judge Kavanaugh guilty? Right. Well, the answer is, and there's only one right answer. He's not. He's not guilty. Why? Because proven innocent. He's got to be proven guilty. Once again, I don't have to prove anything. Correct. They have to prove it. And that's the whole thing. That's why I bring that up. You know, and I'm like, do you believe the rape victim? Once again, every single time, you don't think it's possible that maybe it was consensual? Maybe they you know. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can get into. Do you always just take somebody's word on something? No, you never do. You have to have proof. Once again, if somebody says 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 or 5, doesn't make a difference on any number other than 2. They have to prove that. And then once again, you can prove math real easy, right? So
1 + 1 is 2. But you know, some of these things where you just throw them out, and it's like, wait a minute, you know, you can't really prove that. Why would you say that? And then, you know, it's like some people want to blame us. It's like, well, why are you even saying that David might not be guilty? And it's not just David.
Right.
There's Robin Williams. There's wrestlers. There's so many different people that were just like, oh, they committed suicide. Wait a minute. Let's not just say that anybody committed suicide.
Right. O.J. Simpson.
Let's really look. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. Like, yeah, the whole O.J. Simpson, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
But,
oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, that's what makes this country so great. That's why we have judges. They put the judges in place. So that way, you know, people can claim whatever they want, but it's not a proven fact. If you cannot prove these people guilty, they are innocent of that crime. Now, I've been, you know, I don't want to get too deep into this, but, you know, there are crimes, there are things that I know that people have done that they have not been proven guilty for.
Right.
That happens. That
Yep.
stuff happens. That's a part of the whole thing. That's a part of the whole judgment. There is a difference between our judgment and God's judgment.
Right.
So they try to say, well, you know what? Nobody will ever be able to prove, anything. They'll never be able to look into the David Brown case. God knows what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That is sufficient for me.
Well,
That's what led me to keep going on, because I started with the assumption that David Crowder was guilty.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I started. I wanted to believe that he was guilty. And that's where I'm still at. Show me it, man. I've been waiting 7 years. So all these people, I want to debate you. Just show me something that shows that he's guilty, that the police did not find, because they can't even prove that he's guilty.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell could you ever show me?
All they ever can say is, "Oh, well, he's dead and he's guilty." That's all they can say. And once again, really, where's his guilt? If the thing is, if David was alive, right? If David would have survived this ordeal, okay, he would have had first-hand knowledge of exactly what happened. They could have locked him up, sure, but he would have had a lawyer, and that lawyer would have proven him innocent.
Yeah.
As now he's a witness. He's a survivor.
You're right.
And that's directly what would have happened in this case. And the thing is, this other group, for whatever reason I don't get, they keep picking on it. And the thing is, that's why I've been calling them out, especially after I seen this Christina Jarvis lady. I didn't see any of these other posts, right? I would have gladly jumped in and be like, you want definition DNA, you want to know where this stuff is from, you want to know where all this is at, fine, let's go do this, right? But
what stuff? Everything is there. If you read the documents, they tell you everything.
Well, she was asking specific questions like rapture and things like this. Once again, trying to go and get it.
That's not in the documents.
Well, exactly.
There's nothing about rapture
Exactly.
in the documents.
And that's the point. Is it has nothing to do with the case. I mean, it doesn't really have anything directly has to do with the case at all. Like where can we find DNA? What different types of DNA find? You want something? I'll throw you a link. Here you go. That's the most of what would have happened, right? But the thing is I think she's there to basically, she's trying to go and stir up trouble. I think she's a troll. The lady's got some issues.
She may be a regular person, She may be a real sincere.
She's not. I mean, I can tell you that right now. I've looked into her a bit. She's not.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know this person.
I'm not going to get into it too much. I mean, not on stream, but I know she's not. Well, she's cracked up to be. Okay, I'll put it that way. I'm trying to watch the language I'm using about this specifically, but like I said, you look at what she's been discussing, she's incorrect. I can prove it. So she wants to try and sue me for it. Please do try me. I will prove you're incorrect every time, and I will gladly do it because you're an inferior detective. I'm sorry to tell you that, lady, but so hopefully she hears that. But it's the thing. It's like, I mean, she's not gonna be able to do anything. She can't do anything. She doesn't know what she's talking about anything. I went ahead. I gave her a view on her video, her only video she's done anything about this case, and absolutely terrible stuff. I mean, just to go on her information alone, terrible, incorrect. I was already able to shoot down her little foot argument. No, I don't agree with the whole finger painting. To make that very clear, I don't agree with it. I think that's incorrect. However, what she had to say about it was incorrect entirely. She specifically was trying to say, well, this is, she was comparing the left foot to the right foot and all this, and that doesn't exactly work out that way. So, for whatever reason, she thinks that it works that way. I don't know, but
she was saying that the left foot was not.
No, she was saying the left foot. She was trying to say that foot was actually used for those footprints. It was his left foot.
She was saying that the left foot was used for the
right footprints
that we see that are clearly
correct.
Right footprints.
Yeah, and this is the person who wants to debate you and Catherine. I would gladly moderate that. We can do a debate. Just we have everything they need to prove, right? And we don't even. The thing is, we're going above and beyond by stepping up and showing. Well, you can't prove this. You have the what's it called? You have the burden of proof, right? The other group has burden of proof. They have to prove it. We don't have to prove anything. That's the great thing about where we live. We're innocent until proven guilty. We don't have to prove anything. We just have to go and just defend it. We can shoot those things down every single time. Anything they want to talk about, we can shoot it down. They want to talk about something. They want to get into some kind of thing. Well, I can go and show you links. So, and the thing is, that's the thing. I'm hoping. I really hope she hears this. And that's the thing. I'm not going to go out and directly message her. That's not my. I'm not gonna go out of the way to do that because I don't care. But if she wants to have that debate, I'd gladly debate her. If she wants to debate you, I would gladly moderate it too. Hell yes. If you let me know when that's happening, I'll go on and stream it. So that way we get this out to everybody. But that's the thing is like, it's just because, once again, it's just another person on that side that probably wouldn't show up, but even if they did, they can't do anything. They can't prove his guilt. Because, like I said, she believes the pack theory. Well, we already shot that down, like, hours ago. That was easily shot down. Like I said, we not only can we use the initial, where's the blood, where's the blood, not blood trajectory, but the bullet trajectory. You got the number of rounds used. There's all sorts of things we can use that. But then we also have even more on the bullet trajectory. Well, that doesn't line up at all. And then we're looking at, they planned this. Well, then where's the blood? It still goes back to the same thing. Where's the blood? End of the day. And then where's the proof they were actually doing this? And if Sean Wright allegedly had actually had this knowledge of this, why didn't he turn this in? Especially if Renee was so close to this daughter and they were such good friends. Why didn't he turn this in? Why wasn't he trying to help his friends? Why wasn't he trying to save that daughter? David's daughter.
Yeah, if you have evidence that David is guilty, first of all, please turn it over to the cops because they don't have it. So if you have evidence that they don't have, please turn it over to them first.
Absolutely.
To let them know that, hey, we have evidence that David Crowley is guilty.
Right.
They don't even have it here.
If they have evidence that he's guilty, why the hell were they withholding it?
Yeah, do that. But
give the family some, give them some peace. And that's. I don't wish any ill will on anybody on this. Like I said, unless we can prove that they are actually the murderers, right? If somebody is, a murderer among them. Then I won't wish ill will on them.
That's what the cops are looking for.
Exactly.
The cops are looking for that stuff. They really need that. We all need that.
Right.
So if you have that, if you don't, please don't waste my time or anybody else's time to debate or anything like that, because if you don't have that, by challenging me, you've already lost.
Yep, and you just strengthen the case even further on our side.
Yeah,
I want them to do that. I want them to have those debates with people. I would gladly debate any single one of them.
There's so much, I know, but there's, think about the whole John F. Kennedy thing, right? There's so many things, books that are put out, all the stuff that is put out that is just meant so that we, look at that instead of looking at what really happened, September 11th, all this stuff. There's so many different cases, even Donald Trump, you can even look at that. Well, let's look at this, and it wastes our time to really, let's just really break it down here. And let's just really focus on the facts, regardless of our views, regardless of what we think about David, Democrat, Republican, etc. Let's really, and that's what we really tried to do, was to try to get anybody that could step up.
Right.
And really prove it. Not say, I'm going to come up with this theory based on this theory, and it's going to connect to that. No. Look at the documents.
Right.
Look at everything that we have. It is, you're never going to debate that. You're not debating me. If you want to debate me, you're really not debating me. You are really debating what the truth shows in this case.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's me, if it's William, if it's anybody else. Unless you can show that the facts show something different than what the facts show, do not challenge anybody to a debate.
Right.
because you've already lost.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen it so many different times, you know, and it's just like, don't waste our time. There are people that really care about this case.
Mm-hmm.
They really want to look at the facts. They don't have the time to really go through and sit through all of those documents, so they are trusting people like us to tell them what the truth is.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they're skeptical, then we say, well, look, here, go and check this page. Go and check this document and this page number. That's what they want from us.
Yep.
You know, looking at that Facebook group, I mean, you have to remember, you know, in the beginning of this Facebook group, it was just Dan Hennon. He was the admin, that was it. He started this group, and he just wanted, you know, to know what the heck was going on here. He wanted to give the people, and there were a lot of people that seemed like they wanted to really help and find the truth. He gave them a forum, and they all backed out. They all backed out. It was just us. It's just the regular people that are listening to this. You are the ones that can really help us get to the truth. By just please look at the facts, look at the documents. It's all right there. I mean, I know I'm probably saying the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, it's right there. Just, you know, if you just want to believe that David is guilty and you want to move on to another case, then do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, don't act like you have it all figured out and then, you know, you're going to come in here in 20 minutes and solve this case.
Right.
That's not going to happen. I thought that I was going to solve this case. It's not going to happen.
Yep. It's going to take a lot of time. We're going to have to go and take this to court. That's where this needs to go. And
that's where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Because,
it definitely will.
No, you're definitely right. For several reasons. I mean, it's like, you know, you give people chances. You want to know what the facts are. You ask for documents.
Well, keep in mind, too, they recently posted a video where they're claiming that they have access to a text message that they're saying, though, that it was either David's direct text message saying when and where hombre, right? That's, to me, that doesn't sound like David.
That's from Sean, right? Yeah, that's all probably from Sean.
Yeah,
that's
more than likely.
My guess. I can't prove it.
Well, yeah, but they don't show names. That's what makes me think, okay, this could be somebody else.
That's fine, but none of that. But
it doesn't show
what
proof.
They focus on.
Yeah.
No, they don't focus on anything that shows why David Crowley was guilty.
Yeah, and one of the thing is like they're trying to go and prove that Chris Peck actually, he did have a message and there was unsent messages. I'm like, well, the phone records would indicate this. They would indicate all sorts of things. So once again, I'm going to go and talk to somebody.
That would also show that could also show that maybe we weren't weren't given all of the records that we should have.
Yep.
Which is another issue, which is a legal issue, a court issue, a lawsuit issue. How many issues do they want to bring to us?
Yeah, exactly, and that's just the thing. Apple Valley's fumbling not only with us, but they're fumbling with David.
Why don't they just focus on what proves David Crowley guilty?
Right.
Instead of focusing on getting themselves liable into legal issues that they may not want to be a part of in the future. I mean, if they really care about this case, if they really care about this family, why don't they just focus on what proves David Crowley guilty so that everybody knows it, everybody can come to their own conclusion on it, and that's it. And we don't have a case of, well, yeah, David is innocent until proven guilty, but here's what proves him guilty.
Right.
Why don't they do that?
Good question. I would like to know. Because the thing is, I mean, like I said, there's just so much in this case.
That's why nobody takes him seriously.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's why they keep, they get all these people that basically, they want to go and believe David's guilty, and that's fine. They want to believe he's guilty.
They want to look at the other side, and that's great, too.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I have been tempted lately to actually jump in their group and actually go and talk to them, find out why they're thinking such things. But I'm like, there's no point. I'm going to be talking to a brick wall.
No, I mean, and what we found, that's what their goal is.
Yep.
They just want to spin you. They want to spin us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not about facts. And Tony Floyd pretty much called them out on it.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much proved it. Everything that that people would know. It's like, wait a minute. You guys are not, that's why he said, don't play detective. You know, I mean, there's so many different things in that, and he has the actual quotes of them and what they're doing.
Right.
Nothing that they're doing is to try to prove David Crowley guilty.
Yep.
It's a mind F. That's all it is. It's, it's just a brainwashing thing. It's just too tricky. And I know there are a lot of people, I tell them that, and they get, some people get it, some people get it later on, but man, if you ask me about it, I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel.
Right.
There's nothing that I'm saying right now that I wouldn't tell anybody that messaged me privately. It's pretty much all the same thing.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about you, man. I mean, just, you're looking at it, and, I feel like I've watched, all of your Twitch videos, and I may not have watched them while they're live, but I always try to catch up, and that's what we need, man.
I agree.
We need people to just, do your own video, do your own thing, put your own stuff out there. I mean, what William is doing here is exactly what this case needs. This is how we keep the case going.
I agree. We need more people focusing on it. Really actually focus on this. And the thing is, this is the big problem I have with this other group, though, and with what Tony had done. See, I have issues with Tony.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely other things that were said that he's not sharing. And that's the thing. I think he was being very, very picky with everything in this, with what he was showing. And he was doing it on purpose, and just to show everybody Joe Tommaso with the picture. So, they had us.
I mean, but it was a good data dump, right? I thought.
Right.
That was a lot of good data. And,
he did a lot of data dump. Like I said, I've narrowed it down. This is somebody on the East Coast. I'm trying to narrow down directly who it is, but I'm pretty sure.
Tony didn't have to do this. He didn't have to give us any of this data. He recognized that we were not withholding data.
Yeah.
First of all, he recognized that there was data that the public needed. He felt the public needed it.
Right.
Now it's there's some other issues and stuff, but whoever this person is, whatever he thinks, whatever his view is, I mean, this is what we should have been given.
Right.
Just this. I mean, there's nothing here in that. I mean, I don't know. There's still a lot of things there, but I don't know why there's a lot of data that he has that we don't have. We've been asking this. We've been asking for this.
Like I said, I do have a theory about who it is. I'm not going to share on stream who it is, but who I think it is. But I do feel it is somebody that's still in that group. And I think this is intentional too, like I said, because there was some data in here that, yes, it was very, very, forthcoming, right? And we got to see a different part of specific people, Luis in particular. And then we also got to see Joe Tommaso. They had the photo, right? And they were berating us on, we wouldn't show the bodies. Well, they clearly did, and things like this. I mean, these are people that, like you just said, I mean, this person, I think they feel guilty about some things. And I do think at the same time, they are trying to mislead in some ways. I really firmly do. And like I said, when it comes down to it, it's some of the things were very curious as to when they were brought out and all this. I mean, like I said, I can go into it as to what's so curious about this case, just this whole part of the case about Tony himself or themselves and dropping all this information. But I gotta be careful how much I'm scrolling up. But yeah, I just, like I said, I find some of this very, very interesting. Like I said, the metadata. Why are you showing the metadata? Because some of this does show directly, okay, they're trying to say that this wasn't done by him or whatever. He's trying to say right here that it was redacted in July 22nd, 23rd. It was 23rd. And the program used to edit was Adobe Premiere Pro. Original file location, once again, he shows it on his desktop, or Yeah, on his desktop, I believe it is. The thing is, that's what I'm saying. This guy, he edited things. I get why he edited it, but still, at the same time, like the data, I mean, it was definitely tampered with. And then why are they pushing this stuff out there? It's because, if you remember correctly, I believe it was one of us. Somebody was saying something. It was about legality of it. If this is true, then they really need to show this because, once again, other than that, they're proving it correct. And we know with one of the things
was saying that he redacted things, or he didn't give us things that they shouldn't have given him.
Yeah.
This was years ago. This was probably years ago, and we've been asking for this stuff, and all we get is 94 pages and 464 photos, and that's it. And then all of a sudden, now we have all of the stuff that we're, given.
Right.
So yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna go and definitely try and I'm digging on this person as part of my little side project I'm doing currently.
I mean, I'm just worried that we have this thing. This person has also shown, some things really weren't really relevant to this case too, but the things that were relevant, it's like, what the heck? Why didn't we get this? Why don't we have this photo of where the gun is? I've been asking for this photo of where the gun is. I was told that we couldn't get it. I was told that the public could not get it. Why does someone from the public have it then?
Right.
But we didn't get it. Okay, so there's some clear things. You make some great points there. I don't know if that has anything to do with Tony, but obviously it's like there's obviously something going on here, but there's nothing here that will, show that David Crowley is guilty. So what the heck? Why are you guys hiding anything?
Right.
It really doesn't make sense. There's something more going on.
Oh yeah. Well, I just noticed time, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. But
Sure.
So what we'll do is when I'll get you access to the phone records if you want to go in or the Google spreadsheets if you want to go and help contribute to it. Just take things and just kind of add them in. We're aiming at the April timeline to go all the way down to what we have all the way to when the phone records ended, right? So if you want to help us out with that, I would love it. The format's already set up. You just got to basically a lot of it's just kind of just change a couple numbers and things like this and just add in who this was. We have the directory. You're totally cool to add people and things like that. So if we have those information from it, we can go from there. So, but we'll if you're free to talk tomorrow, then we'll definitely talk tomorrow. I'll try and, if you can talk, I'll try and get a hold of you then before my stream, so we can talk some more. And tomorrow night, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing tomorrow night. So it might be a gaming stream tomorrow night. I don't know yet. And now there's not going to be a gaming stream. So I do apologize for those that were participating in that gaming stream.
That's all my fault.
No. It's totally cool. Totally cool, man. We were definitely engaged in this case and really just really focusing in on. Like I said, it's brought up a lot of good points, and like I said, we covered everything was kind of done on that Facebook group, so we'll kind of go from there and kind of figure this whole thing out. So but let me like I said, I'll text you tomorrow, probably like early afternoon, and we'll talk about like a time we can go and talk. So but thank you for joining us. I do appreciate that. And thank you all for tuning in for the 4 hours, and we'll like I said,